You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
So, I have a question. Have you ever wanted to get into comics, but you just didn't know where to start? Well, welcome to Comics Quest. I'm JD Martin, and every week I sit down with a guest to talk a comic that I think anybody can pick up and start their comics reading journey. We take a look at psychedelic sci-fi, fantastical action, heart-wrenching love stories, and of course, superheroes. So check us out at certainpov.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome everybody to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media Show that's about everything literary, books, comic books, webcomics, manga, and everything else you might be reading. We're here to talk about it. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick, who is always at my side, Josue.
Hello! And I'm so ready to talk comics.
Yeah, big stack this week for me, so it's going to be fun. A lot going on in the comic universe lately, and it's just kind of fun. We're seeing a bunch of new number ones. We're seeing some of our favorite books coming to an end. 3 of our favorite indies, like long-going indies, are winding down, it feels like.
Oh boy.
So we'll talk about that in a bit. But first, as always, we're going to talk about the news, and I'll make it as quickly as I can. But I have a couple big things to talk about. The first thing might interest Josue quite a bit. We got an announcement that one of Josue's favorite books, Deadly Class, is going to end after the next arc.
Yep. It was coming to an end. I remember back around issues, late 30s, like early 40s, he reading the letters, he would say oh yeah, it's coming to a close, but then around COVID happening, and then the arc coming back, Save Your Generation, it almost felt like a relaunch. So it almost felt like he got some sort of I have an extra arc here that let me play around with. But yes, it is one of those books that I hold cherished, but now I'm still indifferent about the man. I'm still on the fence about the guy. So I'm kind of it's one of those books I'm at arm's length. I'll still be finishing it off, but don't expect to really be reviewing it until the man actually just says something, because he really just stuck to his guns. I'm kind of why disappoint me like this? But yes, It's gonna come to a close, and it's gonna be sad, and especially after that last issue. I'm even more what kind of ending was that? What kind of cliffhanger was that? I don't know what it means, because I thought the guy was different, and then he just became that, and I'm now that cliffhanger is just is registering differently, and I'm I don't know how I feel about it. But I mean, that's what books are. They'll fucking break your heart.
Yeah, that's how it is. Comics come and go, unfortunately. So. Yeah. Next up, bit of news. As we know, James Tynion has stepped down from Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a replacement.
Yes.
And they got Joshua Williamson, which is an excellent pick. You guys might know him as the person currently writing Robin, which we'll be talking about later, Infinite Frontier, and Future State Gotham, which we really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So,
isn't he doing Checkmate or Final Frontier? Infinite Frontier?
Yeah, Infinite Frontier, not Checkmate.
Right.
Yeah. So he's going to be doing the upcoming Deathstroke book, though. So,
okay.
See, he's a busy man, but I think, if you're going to have to, there's no replacing James the Fourth. He really you do the best you can.
He brought a lot to the table, as far as new characters, Punchline sure is probably the main headliner one, but then Ghostmaker, there's I think another one that was kind of popping in and out of the Bat books. So I'm hoping they don't just get forgotten in around Gotham in whatever corner.
Yeah. Next big piece of news. Last week we talked about the new Power Rangers series, Power Rangers Universe, that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
And we had an artist, but not a writer yet. Well, now we have the writer.
Nice.
And it's Nicole Andelfinger, which is not going to be a name a lot of our viewers know.
Yeah.
But they do have quite a bit of experience working on comics, especially ones from existing IPs.
Ooh, nice.
They did work on the Jim Henson Dark Crystal Age of Resistance book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Regular Show, Rugrats, Steven Universe, Dragon Prince, all that stuff. So
Damn.
lots of good experience, and they are a huge fan of Power Rangers. So they'll definitely be able to put a little bit of fan love into it, not just someone attached to something that they don't really care about. So, and then my last thing, we do know that there is, of course, the comic book series Oblivion Song, which I believe is Skybound.
Yeah.
Because it is done by Kirkman.
Yeah.
So it was optioned for a movie, and it was optioned to New Republic Pictures. Well, we just got an announcement of the star of the movie is going to be Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I dig that. I think that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I always thought he was really good.
I don't think he's ever going to be a wrong choice, really.
Yeah, I could try to think. I'm sure there's an instance or two I could think of where he's the wrong choice, but yeah. But no, for the most part.
Present a movie with him on it, I was like, I'll be interested for sure. I'll be going to watch it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, well, yeah, and then the last bit of news, 2 bits of news that aren't really comic book news. First of all, we got the Gamescom thing going on right now, and we got the announcement of the Marvel Knights game.
Yes.
Now, longtime listeners of the show know I love me some Marvel. Wait, was it? No, not Marvel Knights. Midnight Suns. Sorry, I fucked up my own thing. Midnight Suns. Everybody who listens knows I'm a huge fan of the Midnight Suns.
Yes.
Love that. So this game, it looks like it's going to be similar to a lot of games they already made, but it's being made with characters I give a shit about, so I'm going to buy it. My only hesitation with it is, I really wish the roster had stuck more just to the Midnight Suns.
Oh, okay.
It didn't include Iron Man.
Yeah.
I didn't really need that. It should have just been the cool horror characters.
Yeah. Or at this point, why not actually introduce Werewolf by Midnight or Werewolf by Night?
Yes,
just actually have a cool horror character, obscure cool horror character,
or Morbius. Morbius isn't in there.
Oh fuck yeah,
yeah.
I was excited for the game. It's gonna be a 2K game, whatevs. But I like that we're getting all these different. I love that it's they're not just copying the MCU formula. I was like, oh, let's have all these connecting video games now. No, they're just a bunch of all these now Marvel games. But I like that we're getting different attempt at Marvel games. The Avengers, sure, it'll have its fan base. The Guardians game is probably going to be the best one. So after that, and now we get this weird, different action-packed one. Fuck yeah, I'm really into it. Especially if they're diving into something on the horror side, or something that's a cool arc that people don't really know about. Midnight Suns, fuck yeah.
Plus, we can play co-op and roll around as Nico and Magic.
Dude, oh, I know. When Nico showed up with her staff and started doing her, or when she just almost unsheathes it, and she gets it on her arm, what power up is that? I want to do that all the fucking time. And then you get Magic, I'm like, okay, those are the right characters to pick for the game. Yep. That's when they were thinking about it. Oh fuck yeah. I like the tweet where Johnny Cage just being Johnny Cage being like, oh, so now people care about Midnight Suns, and somebody clapped back at him. It's like, sir, you could have done it, but you chose to do Marvel Knights, and he replied, how goddamn dare you?
We could do both. What's the gift? Why not both? So. But yeah, I'm excited for more Midnight Sun stuff. Maybe we'll get some more comics out of it. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. So, there has to be a tie-in. Oh, for sure. I see it coming.
Yeah. And that leads us to our last big announcement. Little movie trailer drop for Spider-Man.
Just a little one. Just a little.
What the fuck? Not much on the internet has ever made me realize how much I hate the internet than this trailer dropping. Because to some people, it was incredible. I was one of those people.
Oh, yeah.
And some people were like, this looks like shit. And I'm like, how? How does this look like shit to you? I don't understand. Whatever. And then some people started... Okay, I'm just going to address this. I had no plans on addressing this during the show, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
You guys are remembering Tobey Maguire way too fondly. He was not a good Spider-Man. He was a bad Spider-Man. He had 1.5 good movies. The only good movie is the one where the bad guy was easily better than him, and so that's why it's like Christian Bale as Batman. Christian Bale was a terrible Batman, but the Joker was great. And that's why everybody's like, Dark Knight's great. The other one's meh. See, I like the first one though, because I think Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is amazing. But that's a whole other conversation. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, no, I think you guys are remembering Tobey Maguire way too fondly.
If anything, I like that it sparked this sense of nostalgia, where it's just like, where everybody's like, where everybody, sure, collectively, we might all have one sense or another of superhero fatigue. Let's all be real. But with this fucking trailer, it just brought back this whole sense of nostalgia from everybody, from whatever Spider-Man you'd like. So it's like, yeah, they're gonna be shots are gonna be fired, but underneath it all, like, we all are here for fucking Spider-Man, and that's what I really liked about it.
I'm starting to see, like, obviously Toby was better than Andrew Garfield.
Oh yeah.
But I'm starting to see things where it's saying that he's better than Tom Holland, and I'm like, you watch your goddamn mouth.
Yeah, no. It's like, I really like
That's fucking bullshit.
I always like that split where it's like, fine, if you have to like go with pros and cons, Toby was a good Peter, not a good Spidey, and then vice versa for Andrew Garfield, and then Tom Holland is like good in the middle.
Yeah, I don't think Toby was a particularly good Peter either.
Really?
He's more confident than they make him out to be. Like in the comics, he really is, especially if we're talking about older Peter, because in the second two movies, he was an adult. Obviously he was an adult in the first one. We just weren't supposed to we were pretending he wasn't. But adult Peter's a completely different person than teen Peter. Mm-hmm. Tom Holland nails teen Peter. It's the best teen Peter adaptation I've seen in any form. And he's a great Spider-Man too. Like, he's lithe. He's not like, he doesn't try to look buff. Like,
my one thing is like where I see Toby as a good Peter is because he was written as a really bad Spider-Man. Like, there was no quips, like, or even if there was, they were always really bad, really cheesy. So that's why I kind of see him as a better Peter, because like his Spider-Man appearances were just not there.
They were Sam Raimi films.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Raimi films are automatically cheesy. And I do think Tom Maguire is a good actor. I just don't think he was a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, I want to make that clear. So, but I'm excited about the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see where we're going to go.
I was telling you before, like, up until it starts getting into like all the Doctor Strange shit and like, let's change everything, those like wholesome moments, like with him and MJ, him around everybody, it just it felt like such a JMS like book. Like, it just, it like that tone was there. Like, I felt like I was reading a Straczynski like run. Like, was it like a JSM book? But fuck, it just, and I'm hoping that feeling stays there, and then it doesn't really completely go away once you start getting into like all the mysticism and changing everything around. Because that was like, I was not expecting to just like have that feeling there.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it's interesting that, I don't know. I don't think they needed to do that with this movie. Like, this could have been a normal Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
It's odd this is the one that's really going to open up the multiverse. You know what I mean? Like, like, we don't need to really do that. Like, I don't know. But we'll see. But yeah, that's the news. Did you got anything else you want to add?
No, those pretty much like the big ones, the biggies.
Nice. Well, we have a stack, so we're going to get straight to it. As always, we start now with a bang, bada boom. And Josue is going to start with Boom Studios. And he has a book report from last week.
Oh, yeah.
Please tell me, because you caught up on Eat the Rich, which I reviewed last week. But I wanted to get your opinion of it. What do you think?
Honestly, I hella fucking enjoyed it. It did make me actually want to go back and watch, was it Ready or Not or You're Next?
You're Next.
You're Next, okay. It did give me those vibes where like I've seen like the trailers, or I get like the premise, or you told me a little bit about it, but then I'm reading and I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh fuck, like that setting, that like I'm like a fish out of the water here. That whole like the whole thing where like with you're just a regular fucking person. You're gonna have compassion. It's a regular human like being thing, and then you offer help, but then the whole like you don't help the help. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what the fuck's going on? And then you get like the twist at the end, and like, especially I really love the part with like the friend who's just like already super drunk, and it's like, oh, it's your turn to give like the roast, and then he's just like not about it. Well, I mean, he's into it, but like she's noticing that he's not about it, or when he gets off, he's like, oh, thank fucking God it's over, and like, fuck, this guy's seen too much, you know, like, oof, like no, I'm definitely into it. I love the tone, like the eerie tone of it. Like you can't really see what's underneath, like what's being covered up. So yeah, I definitely want to see this through.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I definitely want to get your opinion because when I read it, I thought of you. I'm like, oh, he's gonna.
Yeah, no, bro, I'm into it.
All right, our first actual review is going to be Dark Blood #2. I got this variant cover because last time I got this weird domestic cartoon cover.
Oh, with the white family, yeah.
I think they're going to do one for every cover or for every issue, so I'm going to get all those. I think. Written by Latoya Morgan, illustrated by Walt Barna and Moises Hidalgo, colored by AHG, and lettered by Anworld. So this is the one with the guy who was attacked. It was the black ex-soldier in the 50s who was attacked by a white guy, and then he had powers and something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This book is another one of those slow build ones where it's not quite telling you everything yet.
Mm-hmm.
But this one definitely emphasized the racial injustice of everything. Like where he's working at a diner and all the people are just treating him like shit. Like this dude's like, I wanted my steak well done. This is bloody as hell. He's like, you asked for medium rare. He's like, don't talk back to me. And then they have to give the guy a free steak because I was like, it's just really fucked up. And as someone who gets yelled at in his daily, job, I can relate to this dude in a way, obviously not racial, but yeah. But it's just really well told, and it goes into it, and basically, long story short, he keeps having this back pain, and he meets with this doctor out in the middle of nowhere who gives him an injection in his back, and he wakes up with his eyes glowing. So we're slowly but surely finding out what's going on. But it's really kind of cool. I'm really digging this book. Like I said, there's a really cool dread and mystery to it. I really like the art quite a bit. And yeah, I just really dig it. So highly recommend Dark Blood. Not too much to talk about because it's the #2. So next up, we shared the next 3 books.
Yes.
Let's start with the one book that Josue texted me about this week already.
Oh,
Good Luck #3.
It hit like a fucking train, dude.
Written by Matthew Ehrman, illustrated by Stefano Simone, lettered by Mike Fiorentino. Now, my initial reaction, it was very good, but my initial reaction is, now this is a Matthew Ehrman book.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I had the same thought.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is a Matthew Ehrman book. We're in it now. So
literally thought the same thing.
And it's really, really good. I know we were left off on a cliffhanger last time where it seemed like every major character we were introduced to died, basically. And they didn't, but what happened to them was fascinating.
Yeah.
And just so interesting, and we get a cool reveal. This is the kind of book, guys, we're not going to spoil for you. Because first of all,
you're right.
It would require way too much explanation to explain anything.
True.
But second of all, the journey is the point.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it. And the hyper focus on luck, and they keep focusing on good luck, bad luck, the whole governmental conspiracy thing. I'm really, really enjoying this book. What did you think?
I mean, it was just it all comes down to to the ending, right? Like it was just messed up. Like I'm really gonna teeter the line of not jumping over to full spoilers, but it was just like, we've all read the stories, we've all seen the movies where you're just kind of like, well, in the end, I guess it didn't really matter because it didn't happen, right? Like you can just move on. It sucks that you remember, but sure. But when you get now you're always suffering, no matter what. You're welcome. My brain was just wrinkled up. It's that is fucked up. Yeah. That's so fucked up. Just so you can keep pushing forward. You're welcome. No, that's not how this works. That's not how it should work. That's so mean. I fucking love this issue, and I love it when a series can just get better and better by each issue, not just a big wow first issue. You get your little just chug along in the middle, and then you get a cool fourth and final issue, and then a final issue. But no, I fucking love it when each issue just builds off of the next one, just gets stronger and stronger. That's what makes the story so memorable.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really, really digging it. I'm curious to see where it goes. So. I think because we're going to talk about some other boom books that are getting on. And I think this is going to kind of become one of those ones, unless this is a mini. I don't know if it is.
Oh, I thought it was.
It feels like one, but I don't know. So we'll see. All right, let's move on to one of those books. Something is Killing the Children, #19.
Yes.
Boy. Okay, so of course credits written by James Tynan. I keep saying that wrong all the time. The fourth, illustrated by Werther Deladera, colored by Miguel Muerto, and letter by Anwold. So we get the trial revealed, what the trial to join is, and that was really, really cool. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed that. But what I really dug was the Aaron.
That we still have so much more Aaron, yeah.
And we all know what happens later, and that's what makes it that much worse. So, but yeah, we're just digging into the House of Slaughter, which is interesting because we're going to be getting the House of Slaughter book soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's cool that they're developing it all now so that when we start doing that, it can break away evenly and stuff. So,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
My other question is, because I know she's kind of on the outs with the group right now,
mm-hmm.
Is she not going to be a part of the House of Slaughter once the book releases?
Is she? Are they going to be hunting her?
Is she going to go rogue or something?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really interesting. We also get a lot more. Oh, go ahead.
It's especially when since we're still on the subject with Aaron, we finally get just like a little bit of meaning behind the masks. Like when like the twins are have cornered or up against Aaron, and you're like, oh, you're a black mask. You're supposed to be a lone wolf, and it's like, oh, is that what the criteria is between like it's like red, black?
Yeah, they kind of point that out. Like the black masks are the ones that like I remember when they sent the white masks after her. You know, there was kind of hinted at that the black masks were like singular. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's interesting, yeah. And just a lot of good background, and we get to see exactly how her token was made, which I thought was interesting.
It's so cool,
like just so good, and the way she struggles with them, the struggle she has, is so cool. That was such a great idea.
The way she has to handle it and be like, no, I have to go back and play it out the way it was. Sucks that I have to remember it or again play it out exactly what happened, but that's the way I beat this monster. And I just love the last page when it's like, they thought you were going to die, so they left you. Yeah, well, I didn't. So what's next? Like, fuck, no, Erica's such a cool character.
She's awesome, dude. I cannot wait to go to cons because there's going to be some Erica Slaughter cosplay.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, wrapping up Boom with a book that took a break.
Didn't we get long one.
2 months? Yeah. 2-3 months without one of these? Once in Future, number 19. Written by Kieran Gillen, illustrated by Dan Mora, colored by Tamara Bonville, and letter by Ed Dukeshire. And I'll say it again, as I always say it, head to toe, the best creative team in comics. Like, if you look at the strength of each role, they're the best creative team in comics. Like, come on.
Absolutely.
I love it. Like, so good. And this book continues, and God, do I love Once in Future. Of course, we saw a big shift in what happened in the last issue, where everything changes.
Everything literally changes.
And magic becomes known to the general populace, and magical Britain just goes to hell, basically. So, we open up with a really great sequence with Duncan, and
God, he's so hot.
Oh, I know. I almost made a joke. I'm like, I don't remember him having a full beard. Is this to show that time has passed? Like, and I was like, probably so, actually. But with Gran and Duncan going to get her armory, and the entire time they're trying not to say fairies because the fairies are waiting for them, and if they hear the word fairies, they come out. Long story short, it happens, and this is a creepy ass fairy design, by the way.
One of the coolest fucking fairy designs, like, ugh. And then followed by one of the best lines.
All fairies are bastards.
They went AFAB. Oh, and then I laughed at myself because of what I said out loud. I was like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then again, like, it's just so fucking great. You know what I mean? Like, I just love this book. And once again, for those, because we haven't talked about it in a while, this is the one that's the modern Arthurian legends coming forward and, taking place now, and stories being played out as they always should have been with the hidden magical history of Britain. So, I really like. I'm loving Rose more and more as they build her as a character.
Yes.
It's just so good. And then of course, this is the first issue of the new volume, so
Yeah.
they're kind of setting up the new reel. I love this bit with the werewolf on top of an ambulance.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just to show how the magical world is kind of taking over Britain totally, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, so I just love that. Little touches like that's really cool. So I love this book. It's one of my favorite comics, period. What'd you think?
It was so funny because, like, before we had left to go to get our comics, Such and I were just, like, laughing at the Eurovision scene where they're kind of, like, praying to, like, the gnomes or, like, what are they're gnomes or fairies?
Elves.
They're elves, yeah. The elves that they pray to for protection is, like, oh, it's just so crazy how, like, they just, like, it's just, like, a funny little nod to, like, their culture or what they kind of believe in. And it just opens up with them, like, don't say the fucking word. Don't say the fucking word. Like, they're around. So
yeah,
I like that. That was like there's little similarities there. Fucking Arthur going crazy with Saxon slash, Saxon slash, and looks at this guy, Saxon enough slash. Like, this guy is fucked.
Yeah, so good. It's building, man. It's building. I can feel it.
I had missed this book so goddamn much, and I would often wonder, like, where's my Once and Future? Like, we would get back-to-back issues of like three different books, and like, didn't we just read this like 2 weeks ago or even last week? And then we were just like, where's my Once and Future, bro? I need my fix. And damn, did it deliver! Holy shit! Again, like, just going back to the end with like that cliffhanger. Like, where's that gonna go?
I know. I'm very, very excited. So, okay. So next up, we're going to switch over to Dark Horse. I got one Dark Horse book, and it's Norse Mythology #3. Once again, I got the David Mack cover.
Oh yeah,
because it's always incredible. Story words by Neil Gaiman, script and layout by P. Craig Russell, letters by Galen Showman, art by Mark Buckingham of Fables fame.
Oh,
Laverne Kanzerski colors. And I already said letters. Cool. So this one is the story of Thor's journey to the land of the giants, which is actually a really cool story too. This is also going to be at least a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of sets up the story. But basically, long story short, Thor and Loki are going to go visit the giants. They're actually going to Jotunheim, which is where Loki's family's from. And along the way, they run into a young boy. The young boy is one of the fastest runners on the land. But he wrongs Thor. I won't get into the long details of it, but he wrongs Thor in a way that he owes Thor, and he basically becomes Thor's servant. And he's traveling with them, and they end up finding the giant castle. No one is available to like open the door, so they have to sneak in under the giant gate. And that's where we're left off. I know where this is going because I've read it before, but it's going to be really, really cool. There's basically. This is one of the more mythological, like traditionally mythological stories in Norse mythology.
Okay.
Where they're given us a series of tasks they have to complete.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's kind of like that. But it's really cool the way they do it. Because it's Thor and Loki, and they have to work together with things. And then they got this mortal kid, which is cool too. So, all right, moving on. Josue, we're going to switch over to Mad Cave Studios, and you're going to talk to me about Beckstar.
Beckstar. This one will actually be pretty quick because this one is the penultimate issue. I thought this would be the finale, but it leaves off with to be concluded, and rightfully so because I was like, seems like a little too short. So we're pretty much like heading to the destination of like just everybody meeting together, good guys, bad guys meeting together, so we can finally like squash this all out. So this one is just mostly a giant space, a spaceship chasing in the cosmos, trying to get to Beckstar, or pretty much trying to at this point just trying to kill them all. Beckstar, both her paprikas, and I forget what her co-pilot his name is, but it's a great moment where when they finally crash land at their destination, and they're like, okay, like, well, the ship's screwed, we'll have to repair it when we come back. And there's Beckstar, and she's like, assuming we can find the keys. And one of the paprikas, because again now there's two. One was just like, I already snagged him. And Beckstar goes, you're my favorite paprika. And the other paprika goes like, and that's when that one just like Scott is like, oh, there's the asteroid base. And that's when Beckstar replies, hey, you're a great paprika too. Sorry, I jumped the gun back there. it's literally like a back-to-back panel of like her choosing both paprikas. So it's just like, I love how cheeky it can be. And then just, now we're definitely confronted with the bad guy in the end. So this one just like went by like just like really fast. I wish us were just like putting all the players in one setting and in the same place. So yeah, Bexar. I was like the little science book, the little sci-fi book that I like more. They won me over.
Yep, nice. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to Valiant Comics.
Nice.
And if it's Valiant, you know me, it's Ninjak. I love me some Ninjak. So Ninjak number 2. Something I didn't get a chance to really talk about before, I hinted at it a little bit, is that there's so many people that are upset about the art for Ninjak. And it makes me laugh so hard.
How did it differ again?
It's completely different. Here. Well, let me read the creative team real quick.
Okay.
It's Javier Peludo and Jeff Parker with Javier doing the letters. It looks like this.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So for like in a book that, to be fair, did kind of start off like a 90s Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It does this completely different art style. I love it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering about it. I was like, why do I like this so much? And it's because it reminds me of old school, like, I'm trying to remember an example off the top of my head, but it's like an old school, like almost European comic, like a European spy comic.
Ooh, yes. I hear that.
And that's kind of what it reminds me of, is how like goofy it looks and stuff, but it's supposed to, and that's what makes it great. And that's why when you have this awesome badass action scene and it's done in an art style like this, it's funny. Like this one dude is about to attack this guy. He walks up with a knife and then this dude just breathes fire on him. And it's hilarious. Like, and it's supposed to be. I really enjoy that. Like,
it reminds me of just like a lot of nowadays indie books too.
Yeah, or like this. There's our first shot at Ninjak in his full gear. So, but it's just cool looking, like, and I really dig it. And yes, it could look like every other book. Why would you want it to?
It could, yeah, like that almost like hyper realism into every panel. But yeah, why would you want it to? It's like have different styles. Like
this is what makes it different. Like, yeah. So I'm really enjoying it. It's continuing the story where all the spies' identities are revealed, and Ninjak has to fight to survive. He fights a group of 3 superpowered bad guys and has to find a way to outsmart them and stuff. So it was fun. It was really cool. I liked it a lot. So, all right. Next is Magma Comics. Josue, talk to me about Modern Frankenstein. Is this the last issue?
This is the last issue.
I thought it might be.
Or is it? So, Cult of Dracula. This one by...
No, Modern Frankenstein.
Modern Frankenstein. Never mind. Sorry.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, sorry. I just realized, like, oh shit, I just realized I have, like, 2 almost, like, different what ifs monster books this week. Or that I was reading monster books, so...
Are they also both last issues?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, so let's go with the Modern Frankenstein instead. This one by Paul Cornell, art by Emma Biaschelli, the color by Pipa Bolin, and lettering by Simon Bolin. So, our sweet Dr. Angela discovers that, yes, during all them fun sexy times with Dr. Frankenstein has led to, pregnancy. She's maybe discovered that he was maybe doing some experiments on the side, maybe with her, maybe on himself, so that this baby could be a little bit kind of maybe modified. And so one night, as he's sleeping, she kind of sneaks off and goes to one of the experiments, one of the live subjects, and she talks to him, is like, yo, how crazy is he? And lets him know, is like, yeah, it's always been this way. So, but of course Frankenstein shows up and it's like, hey babe. So Frankenstein's like, it might be all true, but I did it for our baby. I still want to, like, it'll be like, basically he's just like thinking that this baby will be like the greatest fucking thing ever, based on his self experiments. But he's not going to let anything bad happen, or he needs to get his hands on his baby. So he whips out his little app, since like that's how they hypnotize like their experiments to, because she runs off and he's like, yo, go after her, but don't fucking hurt her. And she has this whole moment of like, yo, like he kind of like you messed me up. Like, there was like no consent for this, and he kind of like spins it around on like, you didn't bother with consent with like pretty much like the whole time we're together. But it's like they have like a whole moment, and she literally threatens herself, since like that lackey or that experiment that's like after her was specifically told to not harm her or to bring her back unharmed. She threatens herself with a scalpel, and so it kind of like re-triggers him. And as he's kind of like contemplating what to do, she whips out her like app to now re-hypnotize him, as like he was kind of like in this state of confusion, and now he's kind of like on her side. She makes a run for it, or she makes a run for it back to her mom, so who's kind of been like her only family member, like she's kind of been in contact with, and the mom wasn't in on it this whole time. The mom was already kind of hypnotized because fucking Frankenstein was already upstairs and just like waiting for her to come home. So we think this is it. He has the upper hand now. Like, they're both like on the floor, like Dr. Angela and the mom, and he's not going to take Angela back. Only I guess like Angela just didn't take a full dose, or like the mom was able to restrain herself a little bit, and Angela was able to Dr. Angela was able to stab Frankenstein in the neck and just like repeat it over and over and over again, because like this fucking guy was crazy. So there's a short time skip of like her having her baby. It was either going to be jail time because she was still complicit over like just being with him over all the experiments and killing that other guy, or now have to work for the government as almost an indentured servant, and or how this agent puts it, to unlock a bunch of other experiments or other future endeavors. So they make a break for it, or there's a little plan that gets hashed out between her and her mom to be able to get the baby out. And so, yeah, they're pretty much like out on the run. Like, how did she say it? She's fleeing the law won't be easy. I'll pick it up as I go. So her and her mom and the baby are just going to be avoiding the law for the rest of their lives, because this is a fucking big one. And it just ends with the kind of creepy, like, and not creepy, but it's just like, it's one of those where like she'll never forget him, because like the baby was born with his eyes. Like this beautiful black baby with like these like beautiful teal like eyes. So, and of course it just goes to like, he probably like spliced his genes so that the baby can be born like almost like in his perfect image, if you will. And the whole last page is actually really nice, because it does a great callback to the Mary Shelley novel. Almost like when Frankenstein goes off on his own with my spirit will sleep in peace, or if it thinks it will not surely think thus, and then it has like in a different text, thank you, Mary, and then the end. So it wasn't bad. I kind of wanted a little bit more from the Frankenstein to see his little horror side, but he was still just like fucking crazy as he would in this modern take of like how he would just be splicing genes left and right on how to create the perfect human. Yeah, good book by Paul Cornell.
Nice. All right, and let's move on to Aftershock.
Oof.
We have a couple books from Aftershock. I think we both have both.
Yes.
So let's start with Seven Swords number 3.
Yes.
Written by Evan Dougherty, art by Federico Dallaccio, color by Valentina Biancioni, and letter by Dave Sharp. So, of course, this is the one with the 7 swords people being gathered slowly to team up.
Mm-hmm.
And we were left off when we met Don Juan, naked. And they get caught by the guards, and long story short, the guards, or the king, or I think it was the king, or some kind of like power person. I did miss the...
They did refer to him as Su Majestad, so it's kind of like His Majesty, so some sort of royalty.
Yeah. So they agree to let them go on their mission to start Cardinal Richelieu, because the guy hates Cardinal Richelieu. And he says, on the condition that the chastity of Don Juan be strictly enforced upon your journey. Which I thought was great. They get a boat. They're doing the ship thing. It's great. There's a lot of little interpersonal character development in this one that I loved.
Yes.
I love Cyrano being like trying to teach Don Juan how to like actually talk to a woman and not like,
oh my god, what would you have
like,
me,
look at my dick, let's fuck.
Instead? Yeah, like what would you have me have said? And then he just delivers this beautiful like line on how he should have approached her instead. It's like, perhaps you should hide down there and supply me with the words to say. Very original, but no.
Love it. So, but yeah, lots of development between all the different characters and stuff. We meet Captain Blood, and he joins the crew for money, as Mr. Krabs would say. And they find out what they have to do. They have to break into the Bastille. There's also a little hint that oh gosh, my mom won't blank her actual name. The
sister?
Yeah, sister Catalina, was it?
I think so.
Yeah. She basically I think that she's into D'Artagnan.
I think so too.
That's what I'm kind of gathering from this. She's praying for him, and I like the speech the other one gives her is it is not wrong to put God before yourself. It is not wrong to put others before yourself, but to not think of yourself at all, that is wrong. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good line, actually. I'm going to steal that sometime. So, but yeah, they basically break into the Bastille. They come up, a bunch of the guards are dead. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and they split up, and they find the man in the iron mask and free him. And then also, they find the guy that killed, that allegedly killed D'Artagnan's buddy at the beginning of the book.
Mm-hmm.
We find out he didn't. He's actually a victim as well. His name is Ahmed, and he's going to join the group as well. So that's really cool.
Yes.
And then that we find out the man in the iron mask. He's his face is all disgusting because he's been wearing this mask forever, and he's only speaking German. And all he passed out. Oh, we got to rest. Then we get this killer fucking shot at the end.
Oh yeah, everybody formed up. Hell yeah,
that's a poster right there.
Oh hell yeah.
That shit. So yeah, we're gonna get more, and so the group is together. We are fully together, so I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
This book has been a treat.
I know, right? I've really been enjoying this one too.
Yeah. Which takes us to our second Aftershock book, Project Patron number 5.
Ooh.
Written by Steve Orlando, drawn by Patrick Piazzalunga, color by Carlos Lopez, and letter by Hassan Atzmane El-Hau. So, as we know, this is the Ersatz Superman that's being controlled by people, and the original version of him was killed by this bad guy, which is basically Doomsday, but we're not saying that. His name is Woe, and the team realizes they all have to work together to stop him, so they all have to control the Patron together. And it was really cool because there was like a struggle in the booth of them, what's his name? It's just strength. We just need more strength. All the strength, Yeah. And it's just like they have to work together to figure out how to do it, And in the end, they realize, first of all, Patron's face is ripped off, so everybody realizes that he's not really the Patron, or at least something's up. And then they realize, hey, this is what we actually got to do. They flew him up in the air and exploded, killing Woe, but also killing the Patron at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the public are like, he'll be back. He always comes back. And it's like, we did the right thing. And then we find out that it was all a trick all along. And it was revealed that Ignatz, it reveals that and what we knew from the beginning, he was undercover, but he thought he was undercover for a certain group. He was actually undercover for the big bad guy, the Lex Luthor of this Superman.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that and everything, and they're like, we're going to out you guys, we're going to tell the world the truth, and then you see a shot of what I presume is supposed to be like downtown New York or something.
It looks like Times Square, yeah.
Yeah, Times Square with the shots of 4 of them with the dead Patron. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to this world? And it's just, so good. I'm loving this book. I really am. It's so good. What'd you think?
I mean, it was such a cool finale. Like I liked how they got together on like how to beat him, and then they were like, you know what, like the Patreon was just like his own person. Like I'm sure I wouldn't want to fucking die in the last minute either. And that's how they kind of figured it out. Like the patient was afraid of dying. We aren't, so we're just like piloting this puppet thing. Kaboom! That was awesome. And then just like twist, fuck yeah! And then what, to get like another book after this? Like, dude, like how the fuck are they gonna come up after this? Like, what would they do?
Yeah. Hopefully this is not the last we see of Project Patron, because I really dug it.
Right. Well, I wanted to read the letter to see if there was any sort of is this it? But then
nothing definitive was said.
Nothing definitive except for
it was very careful.
I mean, it's basically the same title, and especially with the recent movie that just got released, and they just added a simple word to it in front of it. But it's the Project Patron hangar is open, folks. I don't think the is the title of the next book, but I just I need more, Steve. I need to know what happens next.
Oh yeah, loving it. So, all right, let's move on to Titan Comics.
Ooh.
And in this case, we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn number 2. Horizon Zero Dawn Liberation number 2. That is.
Yes.
In this case, of course, written by Ann Toole, with the story by Med McCaw. Script editor is Annie Catane. Artist is Elmar Damaso. Color by Brian Valenza and letter by Jim Campbell. So once again, we're getting this story where Aloy and Erend are traveling together, but he's really, most of the story is him telling the story of his sister and her past.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really cool. I almost forgot this was the Horizon Zero Dawn world when we were reading her story.
Okay.
It was really cool because during her part of the story, there wasn't a lot of it in your face. That's Horizon Zero Dawn,
Yeah.
There weren't especially in this issue, there wasn't any of the monsters. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of oh, this is really cool. And then at the end, I'm reminded, oh yeah, this is Horizon Zero Dawn. So, but yeah, her story of being a slave and escaping and being an important part of the revolution. She memorized all these things that helped them, fight the war. It was just really cool. And then it kind of, again, cuts off because their reality, they have a fight. And so that's going to kind of be what it is. We're going to get a lot of flashbacks and then a fight or something interrupting the story. And then maybe he'll finish telling it the next issue, things like that. Mm-hmm. So, but I really dug this. And honestly, as someone who never played the original game,
Ooh, okay.
I know the second one is, I watched someone play it, but I know the second one got delayed till next year. So I have time. I'm probably going to play through it.
Oh, yes, dude. It was a lot of fun. So much so, this is one of the games where I platinumed it on a single playthrough, which is kind of not I didn't have to come back for anything. And that's how much I really like just exploring the world. And one of the things I didn't really like about the game was Erend. I mean, at first, because at face value, you look at Erend and you're gonna think it's gonna be some sort of bully, almost halfway misogynist guy, and especially over his position. But he's a guy almost won me over. The more I would play it, and then yeah, his whole subplot would be about Ersa, about his sister. He'd always bring up his sister because he took over his position. And what I love about this book is that we actually get to know Ersa because he would only just hype her up. So now we actually get the book on this one, and I just want to go back and play my New Game Plus to actually finish off those trophies. But actually, because in the beginning, where you're kind of getting the passages on previously on this issue, it actually explains where exactly in the game this kind of takes place. It takes as soon as she discovers this part about the Marker's End in the north, but before she does that, this takes place. So I kind of on my New Game Plus mode, once I hear those words together, put a pause and then actually come back and reread this one to kind of get the full kind of picture on it. Because the first Horizon Zero Dawn comic made me so excited for the second game, by bridging the two games. This issue, it's almost one of those things where you never want to go backwards, you just want to get to know new stuff. This book, 2 issues in, and I already just want to go back and play the first game so bad. That's what I fucking love about Ann Toole's writing on Aloy on this world, and mostly video game adapted comics aren't that great, let's be real. But this comic just makes me want to go back and play the game, which is just and what you'd kind of want from the comic, So yeah, high praises to Ann Toole and the Horizon Zero Dawn book. It's just so fun.
Yeah, definitely. And that takes us over to Oni Press. I got one Oni book, and I'll make it very quick. It's Jana and the Unpossible Monsters, and it's number 5. Written by Chris and Laura Samney, art by Chris Samney, color by Matt Wilson, letter by Crank. So this, of course, is about the little cave girl and her sister, and they're trying to survive in this world of monsters. They get taken in by somebody's oh, there's a camp over here, and he takes them in this cave. And then in this great moment, he's like showing them around, and Jana's like very suspicious. Also, the design of Jana really lends to some very funny imagery that I love. And basically, you find out he was trying to kidnap them, and Jana's like pointing down in the cage, and he pushes her into the cage. But this image, the way she just flips at like,
oh shit,
like that's so fucking funny to me. He just yeets her down in this cage, like
the
I love it.
surprise look, yeah.
And so then you find out she's actually in an arena. She was captured to fight in an arena. So it's her against this massive fucking thing.
Oh, okay.
And she fights it and beats its ass because that's what she does. She's basically Kid Goku, which I love. So, yeah. I really enjoyed it, and I'm assuming they're going to want to try to escape. I think that's going to be obviously the next plot, so that's really interesting. I also like that they followed up with the characters from before that they were hanging out with at the very beginning of this issue. I'm thinking that means they might actually go look for them. Maybe they'll actually hang out with them again, because I did dig them with that group of people, so hope that happens. But I'm loving this book. Great all ages book. I can't recommend it enough. Next up, we got Source Point Press, and Josue is now going to tell us about Cult of Dracula.
Yes, now I will talk about Cult of Dracula, done by Rich Davis, or written by Rich Davis, drawn by Puis Calzada, and colors by Alex Zeef, and letters and design by Dave Lentz. So, this different take on Dracula. In this case, it was like, I did love this different take on being Lucifer, fucking, oh my god, the fuck is her name? Lilith being like the original sinner, yeah. Lilith being the original vampire, the original human demon for us. So I did love that spin. And the other spin on this one, instead of like the Bram Stoker Dracula, him being obsessed over Mina and and longing for Mina. Mina in this case, in this book, is actually a descendant from Dracula. So, and this one, it all comes down to like we're finally at the last ritual. Check out this double page spread of like the whole forest just being a giant ritual. Yeah. It reminded me of last week when you showed me space being a giant ritual. That was awesome. So in this case, it's really cool. It's a giant pentagram like in the forest, and like a really cool tree just growing out of the middle. So yeah, it's a celebration. It's a good times. We're gonna have ourselves a blood orgy, and all in name for Mina to be joined in to vampirism. And you get a really cool moment between her and Lilith, finally actually in the circle, and Lilith is just like, there's no life within the circle, only death. She's kind of like saying like the spiel of like right before you do this, and it's like, we are damned to wander forever, thirsting for blood. And then she just says these words, I do not want this for you. And then Mina responds, and yet I choose it for myself. I was like, all right, so be it. So like it's weird that even like the whole point of almost every big bad is so that their legacy can continue, so that they can continue to be bad. But in this case, like this Dracula, this vampire doesn't want this new one to be a vampire. Almost like she cares about her way too much, just because like they are related. So like I like that. So, but Mina is like, nah, fuck that. Like put me in the cult, bitch. So she does it. She bites down into Mina, and then she just screams like her face like transforms more monster like. She's like, Judas, how? And then Mina opens her mouth, and she has like a little holy triangle like in her mouth, like she was like hiding something. She was hiding it, and then of course the three angels show up. Three angels show up, and they're just like, aha, we can finally do this. Because they were like, yeah, her curse was to devour or to be cursed with the thirst of all of Adam's children, except for if she kind of like fuck with something holy. In this case, like how Mina was hiding this like holy totem under like inside her. So it called them down, and now she's able to. They're pretty much like, they don't kill her. They pretty much like hold like, they wipe away all the other vampires away. And in this case, like now she's like all alone, or like there's these dark auras that are kind of like holding Dracula down. Like she's like almost like really like powerless at this point. And it causes, is it Lucy? I mean, she already is a vampire. Another vampire basically impales like her chest from behind and like to get her heart. And Mina starts eating the heart, and she becomes Queen Bee now as the new vampire queen. She looks super badass. Like her wings are transforming on her now.
Holy shit! Yeah.
And in this case, like they almost have like a gorgon bottom, like a snake bottom, which I thought was a really cool touch too. So she's the new Queen Bee. Even what's his face? God damn it, Renfield. Where's his line? He's just like, because it is a new Dracula, and he's like, "Oh, like, do you love me now?" And she's like, "No, no, you're still like, if anything, everything became his fault, like, because it was his cult. He was kind of the one luring everybody for Dracula. But in this case, he was like, "Will you love me now?" And just like, no. So instead of like cleaning up everything, all the bodies, like nobody can really figure out like the horrors that happen here. Fucking Abe, Van Helsing. He's just like, nah, let's just leave it. We'll pin it all on Renfield. Like it'll be tight. So it ends there, and then we have some sort of a flash forward. Like, pretty much, like, it all ends, like, happy-go-lucky there. I mean, there was another demon that kind of came out. Like, I think it was actually Lucifer that he comes out. He doesn't really explain himself, but he's just like, oh, it is my distinct pleasure to meet you again, Dracula. Because he just talks in black. And he just kind of goes back into the tree. Like, the tree that was in the middle opens up, and it's all fire inside. And he just kind of goes through the portal, and so he leaves. So yeah, on that flash forward, Renfield, he's pretty much like in a straitjacket, and he goes through this like glass window, and he's just like, run! And I'm pretty sure he's dead, because it's just like this black doctor that's just like, Jesus Christ, you see these like spider legs coming at him, so you just see through his perspective and him like fleeing and like trying to survive. And there's these spider monsters, like these other like kind of like the vampires that you saw before. Some of them had that ability. And then the doctor gets stabbed, gets like gutted. And then we get some translation from German. Dearest, you are mine. You and I are one forever. Coming soon. Rise of Dracula. So it's not over. I'm actually into it now that I actually know the full story. Like those first two issues before you really knew it was like the whole Lilith story or the whole Lilith twist. They were kind of testing. I almost did drop this book, but then that Lilith review, I was like, all right, cool. I'm into it. I'm here. And now all these little twists and turns. Yeah, let's see. Hopefully the sequel actually turns around too.
Awesome. Okay. And let's move on to Vault.
Ooh, yes.
We got 2 Vault books this week. First of all, let's talk about the Blue Flame.
Okay.
Blue Flame, number 4. Written by Christopher Cantwell, drawn by Adam Gorham, colored by Kurt Michael Russell, and lettered by Hassan Atsmane El Hao. I'm starting to wonder if... No, like, they're doing a really good job of not telling us what's happening, but making us want to know. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Did this all happen to him? And then he actually became a superhero, do you think?
This is like, I hear you, because this is the book that finally bridged those two better than any of the other books. Like,
where he's like, I don't tell them about the shooting, basically. And it's just like, wait, the shooting actually happened? Like, I was like, oh, fuck.
But even still, to me, it was mostly the setting. Like, you get, like, his suit, how would he survive, how we saw those beautiful pages of him in those cosmos, and then we just get this really grounded Earth where it's just like, okay, well, the technology isn't there, but now you kind of see it in this issue, and kind of like, okay, maybe the city does look a little bit more advanced than I was kind of giving it credit for. And so, yeah, maybe they are. Maybe they do link up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and then they made the bit about the fuel.
Yes.
And they made the point that the girl made the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, maybe that had something to do with him getting powers. And I'm like, they're doing such a good job of making me think either he's crazy or this is actually happening. And I still don't know. And it's issue 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the important part is I still care.
Yes.
Like, some books would pull something like this and I'd be like, all right, get to the point. But this, I'm like, ooh.
Absolutely.
So it's just way really cool. I'm really enjoying this book quite a bit.
Oh, me too.
Which is funny because when it came out, we were like, superheroes from Vault. Now we're like, this is great. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add about it?
No, it's just that. It's just like you're absolutely right. Where and so many other books where you're just like, I'm so done with this shit, or I'm so done with this book, where you're just like, please give me something. I'm looking at You Promised Me Darkness, but this book is just does a good job of like holding me down and being like, all right, I really want to know, but it's just like it is enticing. So yeah, I can't wait for the answer.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm really liking it. So, but that takes us to what is quickly becoming one of my favorite books, actually, from Vault.
Dude, yes.
Barbaric number 3. Written by Michael Morici, art by Nathan Gooden, colors by Addison Duke, and letter by Jim Campbell. I got this cover.
Oh, that's a really good one. I actually didn't see that one. I actually like the inside page, like the yellow and purple on the axe. Totally. It's just really cool.
Yeah. So we were talking about it last issue where the first arc is only 3 issues in this book. And so we were both kind of worried because we were really liking the balance of the group.
Yes.
With Soren and our barbarian and the axe as a nice little trio. And we were kind of worried that she wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, she makes it, thank God. Because she's such a great character, and I would hate to see her wasted like that. So.
Yeah.
But the creators are smart. They know not to do that. And yeah, they basically decided to team up and start working together. And so this whole first arc was basically just establishing their relationship and working together, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we got a tease of our next arc, which will be to fight a vampire.
Yes.
which is great because the axe is basically a vampire. I think that's great. But yeah, lots of fun action in this. Really cool, set pieces, like the giant lizard.
Yeah.
Like that was really dope. It was very Norse mythy, like feeling. Like I love that. The whole bit where he throws the axe at the thing to break it, the bulb.
Yeah.
It misses, and then it swings its tail around, and like, I nailed it. That was great. This book is so much fun. I absolutely love it. And I love the lines of this book. Like, and by the lines, I mean the art.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way, like this, like the way his hair.
The way his hair tends to be like sharp, but then it's kind of like, but it's not to make it too detailed, but it makes it wild.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's almost like it's almost like we're not reading the actual story.
Mm-hmm.
We're reading a book about what happened. I know that sounds weird, but like typically when you want to do a comic book, you're trying to show what happened. Yeah,
that panel fucking ruled. Like they just have so much fun just drawing this fucking guy.
Yeah, and just I just really really enjoy it, and it's just so much fun, and I can't wait for more. So
honestly, me too. And I love almost like the whole like lore change that we're just gonna get into. It's like cool. It's like a barbarian, and we get some cool like magic and witches and stuff. Next up, vampires. Like it's almost like it doesn't really go together, but it just makes so much sense. Like being in this book that I'm all about it. And then just like there's still extra. There's still some story to tell. Like at the end, right before we get into like the whole vampire mess, it's kind of like when she was kind of like, oh yeah, and like there was this one thing that was like in your mind that I just couldn't get to, and he's just like, that belongs to me, like don't fuck with that. And it's like, ooh, like what got a little touchy for him there? Like what is it? Because he's such a badass, but it's like, what can you not get to this guy? So yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah, and it looks like it's not coming back till 2022, unfortunately.
Oh yeah,
that sucks, but we'll be here when it does. All right, that takes us to Image comic books. We got a stack. Josue's got some solos, but before he gets to his solos for this week, I want to hear yet another book report, young man, about Second Chances #1.
Dude, Second Chances fucking ruled.
Right?
Like, I love a good book that just has crazy, wacky elements without going too crazy on, like, mysticism and different, like, integrating different lore, but just wacky characters are just like, okay, these almost like these characters saw too much TV and now they're just like running around. It just feels like such a great 90s vibe book in this like kind of noir setting. Like so there's elements like the ninja onis, the hot girl with like in all black with like the bangs and the glasses, especially at the end. It's just like and the detective that isn't like the badass detective. Like it's just like he's just literally just almost like just trugging along, trying to figure out this case, you know? All these weird elements where you're just like, all right, you're throwing way too many things at the wall here, but they all stick, they all work. And it's just like, damn it, I just really enjoy this first issue. I mean, like, I have an idea, but I still have no sense of, like, what is really happening all the way around. But I definitely want to know. Like, this one did a good job of explaining things, of, like, going from, like, point to point to point, and where I can still follow along. A little book that I kind of mentioned a little while ago that just is bad at it. But there's a great book that just, like, all right, new element, but it just works in this world. Like, again, like, these ninja Onis are just, like, insanely cool.
So dope.
They're so cool.
That was immediately when I thought of you, actually, at that point. I was like, he's going to love this, because that reminded me so much of Bleed Them Dry.
Yes.
Like, the aesthetic of it. And I was like, yes, he will love this just on this alone, if nothing else. So, yeah.
And then, like, the part where it's kind of, like, re-raised, like, just, like, the stakes on this book for me, it was when he's still trying to figure out, like, he's still trying to, like, follow this case through. And he gets, like, the big mansion, and he finds, like, the bodies and, like, the person who was killing him. But she's, like, zonked out, and, like, she sees him as a demon instead. And, like, okay, there's something else happening here, and I want to know. And then especially when it does, like, you see him here, right? Normal, black hair, white suit. Mm-hmm. But then you get that reverse shot in this one.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I was like, again, like, I don't want to knock that other book, but that book does that. It reverse images a lot of characters. And that's like, oh, shit, it's doing that thing that I like. So it's like, it's not that hard to just write a straightforward book sometimes. I love the elements too. You Promised Me Darkness, and I wish I could just follow it. I need to dumb down. I guess I'm just admitting it. I need that book dumbed down from the author and be like, this is who this character is and this is what they do. So that when I read it, I can actually go, okay, that was cool. Like this book, second chances.
Love it. So, all right, let's talk about our weekly for this week. Let's talk about Department of Truth number 12.
Okay. Department of Truth, number 12. This one by James Tynion IV, artist by Martin Simmons, lettering by Aditya Bidikar. So, this book is called, I think this is called Revelations 2 as well. But, man, are some things revealed. So, way back in issue 6, Cole got approached by the dude, the Black Hat, like basically this other Department of Truth. The Department of the Truth, the rivals to the Department of Truth. But they're basically almost like the same thing. They just almost like don't like this department. The guy who runs that approached Cole and being like, hey, how about you work for us instead? And he's like, I'll think about it. And the first thing he did was like go tell the Department of Truth, like, hey, this happened. So a good thing he's not keeping the secret, or like, will he actually switch sides or not? The beginning of this book starts off very almost like wholesome. We get this like oldest cartoonish, like funnies style. And we're taken back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 1987. Back to when Cole was a kid. So he's like drawn in like in that actual real aspect while everything else is like cartoonish. Yeah. And then the mom is talking to somebody. You don't get to see who. Only you start figuring out who it is. And it's motherfucking Hawk, the old guy that's kind of been taking her around, like the guy who just like doesn't give a shit what he says, but he's like actually the one dealing with all like the conspiracies. I guess he was there from the beginning. When Cole basically drew the Starface Man way back then, and they kind of got around back to Department of Truth, he was assigned to go almost like deal with it in a sense. And he has a great moment, a one-on-one moment with a very young Cole, because Cole just said, when the mom leaves for something, Cole goes up to him and be like, you're a liar. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then he goes, you're right, but I'll tell you a little secret. All grown-ups are liars. and he just has like a moment where he just like, he tells him some sort of a truth, but it's almost like, but no one will believe you. So come back to the present. And Cole is pretty much finishing that Bigfoot job with Hawk in Oregon, and he's coming back home. Even his partner, like kind of like, he was on the phone with him, and he was like, "Oh shit, like that's weird. Like, why would you go over there?" And it's like, "Oh, I was assigned to." And so she goes to now Lee Harvey Oswald and being like, "All right, so like, what the fuck was that all about?" And he goes like, "Oh yeah, no, like I had to sign off on it." And it gets to him like, "Wait, what do you mean sign off? You had to sign off on it. You're the one that runs it." Oh, Hawk requested him. Like he's been wanting him ever since Cole joined up. So you're like, wait, what the fuck? Why is he so interested in him? Or obviously because like he's known him since he was a kid. So come back to Hawk and Cole. Yeah, he's telling me he's going to take him back home, and only except no, that's not really the case. Hawk takes him to this site where there's like a bunch of Black Hawk helicopters, and off the bat, he's Hawk goes like, these helicopters, like, oh, they're beautiful, aren't they? And Cole goes like, yeah, like they hurt to look at though. Yeah, they do. Now, what does that remind you of? They aren't real. They're tulpas? I guess helicopters are fucking tulpas in this world. And then, yeah, he goes off to, like, explain his whole process on how fucking helicopters work. And you're like, what the fuck? And it goes into, like, the whole Reagan era, or at least, like, touching into, like, the bullshit on the Reagan era. Basically, it all comes down to, like, pretty much, like, Hawk has had enough. And, yeah, he's taking him home, back to Wisconsin, because Hawk has joined the Black Hat group, and I guess we're gonna face the Starface Man back at home, which is not really like Cole has been ready for, but I guess we're just gonna push him over the edge. And oh god, it sounds pretentious as fuck, but this book is essential.
God.
I love this book so much. It's like, what new conspiracy are going to just like pull out of your ass and then make me want to believe it so goddamn much. Yeah, that's the Department of Truth. It's just like, it makes you want to believe what you don't want to believe, or vice versa, depending on how you read it. But the joke is going to be on you if you buy into it.
Gotcha.
It's awesome. It's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, you've been telling me about it. I've been tempted, I'm not going to lie. So.
Cool.
All right, next tell me about That Texas Blood, number 9.
Ooh, yes, That Texas Blood. This one by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. So we're still on that backstory from the early 80s on, there was like this like kind of like Manson-esque dude kind of maybe kidnapping a few kids. And all this came down to this reporter that kind of like was following this guy around. It's like, yo, and he ended up here. So he took it to the sheriffs and like, we should probably go question him. And when they finally got some evidence, like they go knock on his door, and it kind of just back also to like the present, to this diner with like the sheriff who's like the old sheriff, and now like the new deputy. So she can kind of start learning the ropes around here. It kind of goes back and forth like between that story and because he's telling her in the present. And the kind of like the whole underlying thing is that when they went to go question this guy over like the missing people, or if this guy even was him, they had that like that cop feeling of like that something isn't right. Because like they even go like, can we come in and check it around? And you're like, do you need a warrant for that? And you're like, we could, but then it's just going to be messier. So, or it's like, or unless you don't have anything to hide. And he's like, all right, fine, sure, come on in. And the house is just like squeaky fucking clean. And so yeah, they get there because pretty much like the last missing girl that was reported was basically last seen around him. So when they mention her, she's like, oh wait, you talking about Mary? Like, yo, Mary, come down here. And she comes down, and then she's basically almost like in on it. Like what the reporter kind of like inspects off the bat is that she now has like a similar hand tattoo that he has. So obviously like, all right, she's just like part of the cult, or now she's just like working for him, but still something's not right. So everybody ends up leaving. All the sheriffs end up leaving. It's like, it's like a waste of time. But the reporter's like, but the tattoo, and it's like, and the sheriff's like, yo, like that's not our fucking problem. You have to drop it. Of course, he wasn't. So he does like the reporter does some digging into the local library, figures out what the symbol is like some like Aztec symbol. So it kind of starts getting like off. It's like a bat off of like a Mayan glyph, basically. And so they basically kind of like connect another dot with another to kind of like go after him again. Because now like the whole thing with like the ominous name in the background, it was the Cult of Night, the Brotherhood of the Death Bat, and that's what the tattoo represents. So I guess like we're trying to piece together, like we're a little bit closer on like piecing together what this old mystery was, because again, like it started out like maybe this cult is resurfacing like back in the present. So now we're just like kind of touching back in the like what happened way back then. So yeah, a very grounded issue, but another one that just like has its hold on me. That Texas Blood. I just really like it. Also, this cover, like over like the New American Gothic.
Yeah,
I like the cover.
It's pretty cool. All right, next up, I got The Old Guard, Tales Through Time, number 5. So it's 2 stories once again. First one written by Jason Aaron and art by Rafael Albuquerque. Second one is written by Alejandro Arbona and art by Kano. And colors written by Daniel Miwa and letters by Jody Wynn. The first story, Josue.
Right.
I was like, I really want Josue to read this because I think he'll get a kick out of it. It's funny. It's called An Old Soul. Oh. And it features, of course, one of our immortal guys. Mm-hmm. This is in 1978, so it's one of the newer stories they're doing. And he's just an alcoholic. And he basically is just like, you know what? Like, basically, there's like this church being like, hey, come down here. We'll, help you be pure. No more porn, no more drinking, etc. He's like, fuck it, why not? So he goes down there. And it's these nuns, and they're preaching and stuff, and he finds out they're actually saying some pretty like brutal things, like they all pull out pistols. They all have like pistols, and they're like, with Father God in our hearts and Mother Carbine in our hands, can I get an amen? And he's like,
what is it?
He goes,
"Hey, King of the Hill, vaya con Dios."
Yeah. And he goes, Inquisitions never change much, do they? And they're like, welcome, sinner, and stuff. And then they pull their guns, and he pulls a gun out himself and shoots himself in the head and dies. Ooh. And it's funny because the nuns are like, oh, great, another one. Basically, like another lost sinner, drag him out by the dumpsters. Uh-huh. And then he heals because he's one of the immortals, right? And they're all freaking out. And he's like, so tell me, sisters, if the son of a bitch God really does exist, how the fuck does he let something like me happen, huh? Take your time. I got nowhere else to be. So that's funny alone, right?
Oh, dude, to instill that fear of like, oh, I'm gonna make you doubt this motherfucker. I would love that.
It goes beyond what you imagine. 3 months later, it cuts to 3 months later in Guyana, and our main character from the story from the movies, what was her name? Andy, and I can't remember the full name, but Andy. You see her on this South American like village, and she's killing a bunch of nuns, and they're like, we must hold the tabernacle at all costs. And they're like, how many are attacking? Just one. She can't hold us back. She's a demon from hell. And she shows up, and it's him strapped to an X, basically naked. And he's like, please tell me you didn't kill all my nuns. And she goes, what? She's basically like, this isn't what you think, Andy. She's like, Jesus, have they been killing you? He's like, sometimes. They take turns murdering me, and she goes, oh, and what? And they just,
holy shit.
He's been fucking all these nuns.
Oh my God.
So he basically was like, they don't know if I'm a devil or an angel, but they're convinced I'm proof that Armageddon is here, and they can use my bodily fluids. It's like, just stop talking.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
And then they just murder the rest of the nuns on the way out, basically. Like, it was funny as hell.
Oh, that is so good.
And then the second story was such a weird downturn after that. I really like it, but it's such a weird transition. This second one's more like a picture of everything else. Like,
oh my God.
It's like set in France. And it's like way back in the day, and they're basically at a restaurant, and they're talking about the nature of a restaurant, because this is when restaurants were new, basically, where you had to order off a menu. And then there's some guy there that was used to serving it with Napoleon and helped kill the aristocracy in the revolution and all this. And there's this whole fight and stuff. And it was really good, but it was so off-putting after the nun story that I was just really great. But I love it. There's only one issue left.
Oh, okay.
So, and they did announce the 2 writers, or the 2 creative teams. The first one is called Many Happy Returns, and it's going to be Vidayala. Oh. With Nicholas Scott doing the art.
Nice.
And the second one's called The Bear, and it's written by Greg Rucka with Leandro Fernandez doing the art. So
cool. Coming back to close it off. That's cool.
Yeah. I just love the crazy creative teams they're getting for this. It's so much fun.
I honestly, that's exactly how I would use my powers of immortality. I don't know about the whole orgy thing, but like just like casting doubt on like the clergy. Yeah. Like, fuck yeah, dude.
All right. I also got Chew number 7. CHU, that is, for those of you out there. Written and letter by John Layman, drawn and colored by Dan Boltwood. So Saffron and her crew find out about a new thing in the last one where they're going to steal this ancient bottle of wine. And I love... There's things that John Layman does that I absolutely love in Chew. One of the things is all the crimes related to food for some reason. It always is, because everybody's names are food. So it's, Chew and Saffron, and yeah, they all have these like food-based names. And he also writes these really, really good like heists that are so cool. And if you took out the little cheesy food jokes, would actually be an amazing heist. And it's still an amazing heist. I absolutely love it. But like the average person would be like, oh, what a cool heist. And, but it's just so great. So, of course, Saffron's ability is that she's a psychopath. When she eats the exact same thing as someone else next to them, she can read their mind. So that's how she cons people. Is she takes them out to dinner and has them order, and she's like, I'll have the exact same thing. And then she sits there and stares at them and reads their mind while they eat, basically. So I love her so much. And they have this team. It's like Mr. Muscle. And I love the cartoonishness of Chew, too. Like, you can see the crew here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, here's the people. This is Monsieur Patissier. And he's literally the baker. And he just baked them gingerbread cookies in their shapes.
That's awesome.
And they're like, because everybody's powers are related to food in this world. They're like, ooh, did these do anything? They're like, they're very special. They're very delicious. And the editor's note is, the gingerbreads, while tasty, are perfectly ordinary. It's just, and like, just little notes like that. And they talk about who it is, like, Mr. Muscle, crowd control, Miss Cookie, influence, agitation, and persuasion, Mr. Quick, getaway driver, and all these people. And, yeah, basically, like, what you find out is they're doing this thing where they're going to steal this bottle of wine, right? And in the end, Saffron's about to steal it when Mr. Muscle shows up. And she's like, Mr. Muscle? He's like, it's actually Mr. Double Cross, which is great. And he's like, I'm going to double cross you. She goes to shoot her, and his gun misfires, and she's like, basically like, I saw your plan. I saw the double cross. He's like, when we were eating the gingerbread. That's why he made the gingerbread cookies, so she could read everybody's minds.
Ah, nice.
So then she blows his brains out, and there's no escape route. And what she had found out is the bottles of wine they were stealing, which were worth millions of dollars, that were lost in the shipwreck. When you drink them, you travel through time.
Oh, cool.
So that was her escape plan, and you're left with this.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I love this book. It's so
it's really cool.
I love it so much. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I love Chew. Absolutely love it. So now we're going to talk about 2 Image books that we share.
Yes.
And we're going to start with the number 1, Josue.
Oof.
So this is a unique book. I want to go ahead and give a heads up to our people out there. This is a landscape book, so it's done flat. Yes. Like horizontal instead of vertical.
Did you ever read the Private Eye by BKB?
No, I did not.
It was like in the same style, like in the same landscape format. And so was Barrier. Did he do that one too? I forget who wrote Barrier. But the Private Eye is actually really cool too.
Nice. This one is called Echolands. And the first thing I want to say is, this is some nice high quality paper.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really nice fancy book. So
I had to go with the variant on this one. Like, that one just looked really cool.
Oh, I went with the
OG.
Hood.
Yeah, she looks really cool.
Yeah, so written by J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman, the co-creators and writers. J.H. Williams does the art and design. Dave Stewart does the colors, and Todd Klein the letters. This book is insane.
Yeah.
It is lush, is the first word I came up with.
That's good. Yes.
Like this, again, I sent you this shot, but this whole fucking 2-page spread, the second page is just, most of it is taken up by her cloak, her red cloak.
Yes.
In the most artistic way. And I remember when J.H. was doing Batwoman, and I immediately remembered, oh yeah, that's how great Batwoman was. I remember this now. So, but yeah, it's really cool. It's set in this really interesting world. There's a bit of magic going on. It's a little bit of medieval thing going on, but it's also a little bit more modernized. Like it's really kind of cool. I'm digging it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is there wasn't a ton in the first issue because a good probably quarter of it was taken up with info pages and things like that, which happens with the first issue sometimes. So, but we do get some really awesome character designs.
Yes,
and this thing. It's creepy as hell, like the thing at the last page, guys.
Yeah.
So I really dug this, and I'm very intrigued to see where it goes. And I just thought I was going to check to see if this would even fit in a bag. Have you tried?
Oh, so, I mean, it just goes the other way. I think it's still a regular comic book. It just goes.
I was thinking it might be too tall. Maybe not.
No, it's the same thing. It just goes the other way.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. I was just thinking oh crap, this might be too tall. So good. That'll fit in my boxes too. So, but yeah, no, this is really cool. It's a unique way to do it, and I really like the art. And it is rated mature, just so you guys know, and it's very violent in an awesome way.
A great head explosion.
This fucking shit.
Yes, that. And what is she? She just says red, right?
Yeah, she just says red. So it's so good. Really, really enjoyed this. So I'm curious to see where it goes. And yeah. What do you think?
I fucking loved it. Like the setting, the world, like everything. Because you think it's just set in one time, but then you just get to the city, and you're like, oh, it's very steampunk. It kind of looks like Gotham, like the way Gotham looked back in the late '80s and '90s with the blimps going around, And I fucking love this style being in landscape, being horizontal this way. Because I read Second Chances right before this one. So it's cool to get a cool, in that book, it painted the city very well, but what Echolands just utilizes based on their landscape format is that they'll have these panels set on top of the backdrop, and it's just why have 8 inches of city background when you can have 24 inches worth of beautiful city,
like a panorama.
It's such a panorama take, yeah. So I fucking love just being able to go from side, an actual full head turn on seeing how the city works. Basically, it's really cool. I'm glad that I did pick up this book. I was on the fence about it because I was kind of doing my own savings, but then a lot of books have ended. So I was you know what, this has to be one of those editions. So I'm so happy I followed this one.
Yeah, definitely. And that takes us to our last image book, which is Die 19.
Holy shit.
God, this book. There's only one issue left, Josue.
I know.
Written by Karen Gillan. Drawn by Stephanie Hans. Letter by Clayton Cowles. So our group is getting to their destination. They're going to escape the world of Die.
Mm-hmm.
And I texted Josue, I did not expect that.
Yeah.
And what I was referring to was the fact that Ash basically ran into her true self.
Yep.
And for about a third to a half of the book, the story grinds to a halt.
Yep.
In a good way. I want to make this clear. I'm not saying it's bad. It grinds to a halt in a good way, and we just address the idea of sexual identity.
Yep.
In this extended conversation that I thought was handled so fucking well.
Yeah, I distinctly remember you and I having that conversation when this book first came out, or when we were first talking about that first issue. I'm like, what does it really mean? Playing a different gender, from your true self in a game. It's just a game. But then we kind of felt that there was a little bit more to Ash here.
I mean, Ash, who in this book acknowledges they identify primarily as male in the real world, and they were born as male facing.
Mm-hmm.
Did play a woman in this world, fell in love with a man, gave birth.
Yeah.
That's a major thing. And, I'm just it's so fascinating. And how weird it must have been for Ash to go back to being in a male body. Because they were a female for a very long time. You know what I mean? So, and then I like the neutral part of it. They're gender queer. They don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes they feel this way. You know what I mean? And I thought that was really well handled. I don't think there's a lot of media that really handles the whole. Sometimes I just don't feel the same way. You know what I mean? That it's either you're this, or you're dead set in the middle and you're neither. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's always what it's portrayed as. And I really, really like the way this was handled. The other major theme of this issue was the fact that the group is slowly giving up their thing and die, each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And they have less and less advantages as we go on. And it's just so fascinating. And they get to the end and they come face to face with Die. And they simply ask, "What am I for?" And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, it's so good. Like, goddamn. Like, also, I love that Matthew Mercer did a letter at the end. I should point that out.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Mercer's absolutely incredible. He's the best DM in the world. That's what he's basically acknowledged as. So it's really cool that he did that. But dude, this story and, you know, Chuck doing the thing because everybody already hates him.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You know, might as well do it himself. You know what I mean? Like, and just everybody's sacrificing. And you find out that that one of the big things I thought was that Soul made this game in part to help Ash come to grips with their identity. And man, that puts such a twist on their relationship and everything that's happened between those two. And it went from a relationship that I was kind of like, this is a cool friendship, I enjoy this, not my favorite, you know, in the story, to being like, there's so many layers to this that we didn't see. And now I got to go back and read it all like, and find out again, you know? So I loved this issue.
I remember how kind of like weird or eerie Soul came out to be like that first night, you know, like he almost came off like as like he would be the villain. But then we will read it differently the second go around, where it's just like he's just so anxious to just get Ash in this game and just like almost like get them there, and it's like I also agree. I did not see them tackling this issue just on the penultimate issue for almost most of the issue for the first half of the issue, but it was like just perfect. Like I love how Kieran tackles so many just like either like coming out stories or just like having people deal with like their own personal struggles or like how they want to be, like going back to like Wickdiv does like a great job with so many characters. And yeah, I'm just so happy we finally came around with Ash. It was such a dope moment. I just like one that should be talked about or should be remembered down the line for one of his great moments. But fuck yeah, I don't want to see this book go.
I know, it's a shame, but you know, if it's perfect as it is, then I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm really looking forward to the last issue. I think we're gonna have a tough time reviewing that one. So
oh, I know. I hope it's a little giant-sized book too.
All right, now we're gonna move on to the big two, as always, starting with DC. Josue, unfortunately, was unable to get DC books this week.
Yes, there was a weird delay on a lot of the stores.
You got none of them, right?
I did. See, that's the thing.
That you were able to review.
Right, that I was able to review, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll run through them. The ones we share, I'll try to be spoiler light.
Okay.
But honestly, there's not a lot to spoil in Robin.
That would be like the one, really.
I mean, things happen, but nothing super spoily. So we'll get into it. I'm going to start with Icon and Rocket number 2, though.
Ooh, okay.
Part of the Milestone relaunch. Written by Reginald Hudlin, pencils by Doug Braithwaite, inks by Andrew Curry, color by Brad Anderson, and letters by Andworld. This was cool. So basically, Rocket convinced Icon, let's be superheroes, and this kind of shows them doing so and fighting a bunch of drug dealers. And the crime in their neighborhood goes down drastically. And the cops are like, yeah, well, we instituted a no tolerance thing. And they're like, you didn't do shit. Like, it was that kind of Rocket, and the cops hate that and stuff. And then we meet a person who works for the government, and you find out that he's been working with the agency, quote, for generations, long before your great-grandparents were born. And he encountered Icon when he was originally on Earth, which we discussed last time. He was taken in by slaves and raised. And so what happened was, once he got his full strength, he fought the slave owners and kicked them out of their own plantation and was like, get the fuck out. If any slaves show up here, they're free, period. You can't attack anybody. So, like, all these, Southern white dudes decide to go ahead and attack him. They show up and they see this.
Yes, a messiah.
And he just fucking obliterates all of them.
Oh, good.
So, basically, yeah, they go ahead and attack him, and then he goes on the offensive. And this is where it gets crazy. He goes to the seat of the Confederacy, destroys the Capitol, and comes out with the severed head of Jefferson Davis.
Oh my God, yes. I just need this issue just for that. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And so basically he's like, that's what happened last time. He's like, and they actually ended up killing him, but of course he ended up surviving. And so it's just really interesting. This guy has been around that long, so he's going to be his arch nemesis. And everybody's already figured out who Rocket is, her secret identity.
Okay.
But they can't prove it because literally nobody in the neighborhood is talking. It's great.
Yes.
Like, they're asking the kids who she saved, and they're like, I don't know who you're talking about. It's so funny.
What? What'd you say?
Ain't no snitches in this place. So I really, really enjoyed it. So next up, Ruby Justice League number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Deluxe cover. I don't like Cyborg snuggling up to my girl Weiss, but I'll take it. Bitch. Written by Marguerite Bennett. Art by Stephanie Pepper. Color by Hi-Fi and letter by Gabrielle Downey. So this is when they start, like, they got the group together, and now they realize, hey, we got to go ahead and go, like, fight the bad guy, which we know is the same bad guy as the most recent Suicide Squad movie. Which is ironic timing, because the tone of this book versus that movie could not possibly be different. So, basically, yeah, they're just learning to work together. They have a bunch of cute little character moments and stuff. There's yet again, I told you before, there's a 2-girl a ship that the fandom and Ruby absolutely love, and they keep hinting at it here, including her basically saying in front of her bedroom door in pajamas, saying, so what does someone do when they're waiting for the final battle to come? To the other girl, who then makes this face, and then neither of them appear the rest of the night. What am I supposed to drive? So, but yeah, so basically they're teaming up and they're going to go fight him. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it's just like it's the penultimate episode. It's the good guys getting ready to fight, the big bad. So really, really cool. I'm digging it. But yeah, really super enjoying it. And also Aquaman is really good in this issue. He's really funny. So, but yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up. Nope, we're good. So, next up, Checkmate number 3. Awesome variant cover.
Ooh, yeah.
I get a glare with these variants, though. So, deluxe cover. So this one is Checkmate 3. And this is the one where it's the people running Leviathan and they're opposing Checkmate. So it's like Shield versus Hammer kind of thing going. Written by Brian Michael Bendis. Drawn by Alex Maleev. Colored by Dave Stewart. And letter by Josh Reed. There's some great reveals in this, and I'm not going to talk about them because they're really great. Oh, yeah, fuck it, I'll talk about them. Basically, Superman rescues Talia from Leviathan. And Leviathan's like, hey, this is our country. Why are you invading our country? And Talia killed a bunch of them trying to escape. So, like, she murdered our citizens, and now you're helping her escape. And so they're setting everything up. In the meantime, they also kidnapped Lois Lane. So it's just like some shit's going down. Well, we find out that Talia is actually a triple agent and is working for the bad guys because I can't have anything nice. So basically, they did it all on purpose. And she's like, did I kill the right ones? And they're like, yes, exactly the right ones and stuff. So yeah, it's just interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I like the espionage of it all. Love that stuff in general. So. Next up, Detective Comics 10 for You Who. This is the finalement, the final issue of The Jury, which is the arc that's been going on with Batman and with Penguin and that whole shit that's going down. Mr. Worth Written by Mariko Tamaki, penciled by Viktor Bogdanovich, inked by Daniel Henrique and Viktor Bogdanovich, colored by Jordi Belair, letter by Aditya Bidikar. When we last left off, Batman was infected with Hugh Vile's parasite, and which led to this awesome shot.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. And basically, Worth and Penguin think that Batman's the one that did all this, and they're curious about it. There's another awesome shot, by the way.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's full on monstering now. It's great. And Batman's about to kill him, Mr. Worth and stuff and everything. Huntress actually shows up. And she's the one, of course, that's opposed to Hugh Vile directly. And Batman manages to, first of all, not kill the guy, even though he's under the influence of the thing. And he managed to handcuff himself so he doesn't hurt anybody else. There's actually a funny moment later on. She's like, how did you manage to do that? He's like, do you know how many times I've been in like I've been oxygen deprived and all this stuff? He's like, I can do this basically without thinking about it at this point. So Huntress goes and finds Hugh Vile, who's there. Now, Hugh has the original parasite that infected everybody, right? Batman attacks her from behind. She judo throws him over her shoulder into Hugh. He spits up the parasite, and she shoots it out of midair with her crossbow.
Oh, shit.
Kills it immediately. So she does. Hugh Vile withers and dies.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman's okay. Everybody's okay. It's all going good. And then they're doing the autopsy of Hugh Vile as the postscript. And they're like, hey, what's in here? It's like, what are these, eggs? And you see them roll towards the drain.
Ooh.
So, yeah. The rest of the issue is taken up with a tease for more Task Force Z stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which is going to be the one with Red Hood leading what looks to be a bunch of undead villains.
Yeah.
So it's kind of teasing towards that in this, but we still haven't got much of a confirmation.
I'm only interested in that book because of Jason running in and Mr. Bloom, which I referenced before from one of the original villains that Snyder did on the Big 52 Batman run. So I kind of want to see him integrated in like the now new canon.
It looks like Arkham Knight's going to be involved too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So, next up, Harley Quinn, number 6. So you remember the art for the first 5 issues of this with Riley Rossmo?
Yeah.
And how I was like, it's a weird art. It's unique.
Yeah.
And at first I was kind of like, I'm not sure. And then I really started to like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We changed artists. So, written by Stephanie Phillips, arts Laura Braga, who is excellent, by the way. Colored by Rafe Prianto and lettered by End World Design. I kind of miss Riley Rossmo.
Really?
I'm not going to lie. It's weird. I kind of got attached to it. I don't know if it's a permanent change or just one issue.
Okay.
We'll see. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I do like the way Laura does this. And I think Laura is more suited to this story because this is Harley trying to get help from Catwoman the entire time. It's just a crossover. And Harley's basically like being like, please help me. And Catwoman's like, no. And then Catwoman does something badass and Harley's like, you're so hot. Basically, that's the entire story, but it's great. And basically, the only way she's able to get Catwoman to agree to help her is basically say, help me and I'll swear I'll never come back. She's like, deal, basically. So, also, the Grundy plushie makes a return.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, I know that Stephanie saw my tweet about it and was like, speaking into the universe. So, but yeah, I'm excited for that. Hopefully one day. But yeah, basically they work together. And at one point they throw a vial of poison at Selina's face and Harley pushes Selina out of the way and it hits her instead. And they're able to counteract it. But basically because Harley's been, doped up 100 times by the Joker, she had a little bit more resistance. Mm-hmm. It basically would have killed Selina is what happened. Shit. So she saved her life. Oh yeah, here's Harley cuddling with the Grundy plushie.
Oh, I see. Oh, it is different. Very different.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The art's completely different now. So, but again, they basically agree. They helped her, and she's like, "More team ups." She's like, we'll see where this goes." And so yeah, it was a fun little self-contained story. I really dug it. So, surprising myself how much I like this book, man. I just never liked Harley, but this book's doing a really good job of making me like her. So, way better than the movies is doing, is what I'll say. So,
okay. She's actually a lot better in The Suicide Squad.
That's debatable. I mean, we could have a conversation about that. Specifically where the movie grinds to a halt for about 20 minutes so she can have a side story romance for some reason whatsoever.
We're talking about Harley, the character, not what happens to her in the movie, compared to the other.
She can only work with what she's given.
I like her attitude more, though, in this movie compared to the other ones. So.
Yeah, it's all right. We won't get into that. We'll be here all day. So, next up, Robin number 5. Written by Josh Williamson, art by Gleb Melkanov, color by Luis Guerrero, letter by Troy Pateri. So the whole story behind this one is Robin needs to get back to the island before the tournament begins. But all the other Robins, Tim, Dick, Jason, and Stephanie, are trying to stop him. And it's basically them trying to stop him the entire time. So there's no huge plot developments here. Spoiler, he does get back in time. So, yeah. But there's some great little character moments, right? Where they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing a case. Don't you trust me?" And they're like, trying to basically says, "If you catch me, I'll go home." Basically, so they're all chasing him across the rooftops, and it's great because they're like, Jason says, "It's been a while since we've had a rooftop race," like all cheesy, like I love it. But they're chasing him, and it's great because he throws little digs at them. And kind of outsmarts each of them in a way. Mm-hmm. Like Stephanie says, "I know we all had our difference in the past," and Tim's like when Damien slit my throat. She's like, "You're not helping, Tim." And she's like, "I've learned we work better together." And then Damien says, "Is that why you and Tim are on a break?" It's so good. He takes the two of them out. Long story short, he cuts Dick's line that he's using to repel, and Dick's falling, and he just goes, "That's just mean." And then he confronts Jason, and there's this great moment where Jason pulls out a gun. It's a Trent gun, thank God. And he goes, "Everyone acts like you're so cool because you're the Robin who died. But who hasn't died? I'd love to help you catch up, but I left my crowbar in my other case." And Jason's like, "You're trying to make me angry, so my aim is off." And then this line, I told Liz about this. "I've watched you for years, Jason. Grayson is the most experienced. Tim is out of earshot, so I'll say this. He's probably the smartest. Spoiler's the bravest, but you're the most emotional." And he walks up and hugs Tim. Or hugs Jason. And Jason's like shocked and hugs him back. And Damien electrocutes him. So good. So he's getting away. He's about to get on the boat, and he gets "Happy Birthday," and Dick shows up. Mm. And Dick has a present for him, and he opens it up, and it's a metal bar that just says "Versus the World" on it.
What?
And he says, "When I was leaving for college, Alfred told me that he knew I could take on the world. That's made from a trapeze bar in my family's act. Alfred got it and painted it black for me. Help me remember that came from two worlds, blah, blah, blah." Like, it's just really sweet, right? Mm-hmm. And Damien starts crying, and he reveals that he actually saw Alfred die.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only one of them that actually saw it. He's like, "I was there." He's like, "Death has been a part of my life since the day I was born, but I didn't get it until I heard his neck snap."
Oh.
I was like, fuck. Like, it's so sad. And the best part is then Dick is talking to him, and he's like, right here, "For a long time, I was Batman's sidekick or the leader of the Titans. It took a bit for me to figure out who I was away from that." He's like, "Why are you telling me this? Tim, Steph, Jason, we were all Robins to Bruce first. But you were my Robin."
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's literally my favorite era of Batman. That is that era of Batman.
What book is this again?
Robin 5.
Oh my God, I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. And then basically Dick lets him go. He's like, "I trust you. Do your mission." So he shows back up on the island, and he's like, "I'm here." And then tournament begins. That's the last page.
Oh, nice. So, oh, that is so beautiful. So but you were my Robin. Oh my God, kill me. That is so good.
I loved the interaction between the two of them when they were Batman and Robin. That was easily my favorite Batman chemistry. So, so good. And then I'll give a quick overview of Superman versus Lobo, because Josue hasn't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty writing, Mirka Andolfo drawing. Man, what a team.
Yeah, it is.
Shit. Colored by Rafe Prianto and lettered by Fabio Emilia. I got this cover.
Oh, yeah.
So,
cover A.
This is a very funny book. Long story short, Lobo's Lobo and just starts a bunch of shit. I mean, it really is it. It revolves around a girl from the future who is a scientist who likes to study the last survivor of a species.
Okay.
Both Superman, as far as she knows, and Lobo are last survivors of their species. So she's following Lobo around, studying him and stuff like that. And it's typical Lobo hijinks, but imagine it written by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty.
Oh, God, yes.
So it's good stuff.
If I wanted this.
Yeah. And Superman ends up saving the day. When Lobo tries to save the day and fails, Superman ends up saving it. And Lobo's like pissed off about it and stuff. And yeah, they just have this conflict the entire book, and it's fucking hilarious. And there's a thing with Toy Man where they have to defeat Toy Man, which was great. But yeah, they never get along at any point during this story. It's just really good. And then at the end, long story short, you know what a tardigrade is, right? The little microscopic water bear things.
Okay.
They're little teeny things. You can't see them.
Yeah.
But they basically can survive any environment. At one point, they fight a gigantic one. And Lobo stabs it because that's how he solves all problems.
Yeah.
Well, they find out at the end, it comes back to them and is talking to them. And is like, he explains that by Lobo stabbing him, it actually, like, what was disorienting him. It basically, imagine the lion, you remove the Thor from its paw. That's basically what it did.
Oh, motherfucker.
Is it made it happy and, like, it freed it. And he's, Lobo, you can see Lobo's almost like, well, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. And he's like, I know the profound loneliness you must feel because I'm the last survivor of my species. He's like, so in return for your help, mind you, this thing is eating a slice of pizza while it's talking, which is adorable. It says, I would like to give you what you most desire. He's like, farewell and enjoy my reward. And he says, using the great power pulsing in my cosmic heart, I restored their lost planets and sent them there. Yeah. And then he said, where is it? Oh, yeah. He says, when he's doing the whole speech, he says, Lobo of Krypton and Superman of Zarnia. And then when he restores them and disappears, the girl that's studying them was like, wait a minute.
Oh, shit.
You say Superman of Zarnia and Lobo of Krypton? They were sent to the wrong planet.
Oh, no shit.
So that's where it leaves off. So, yeah.
Love
that should be fun. Superman on Zarnia would be really a lot of fun.
I would also love it if this was just a quick little side quest of, like, Crush still being, like, in prison after, like, the Lobo swap. I would love if this would be a little bit of continuity. Because it seems like Lobo is just, like, partying it up in this resort and, just basking in this little moment before he probably has to go back.
Yeah. All right, so that's DC. Now we're going to talk about Marvel Comics.
Yes.
As always, we're going to wrap up with Marvel. Josue, talk to me about Spider-Man Life Story Annual.
Ooh, okay. It was really cool to come back to this. Spider-Man Life Story Annual #1.
Does it take place after the last issue?
It takes place, no, not after.
Okay.
This one by Chip Zdarsky, drawn by Mark Bagley, so it's always nice to see him come back. Colored by Andrew Hennessy and Matt Miller doing the letters. This one is all about not Spidey, but JJ.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's all about his time and his deal. So we only get to see the span from 1965 to, I believe it was 2001, but it doesn't have to do anything with 9/11. It's just like the span that we see of JJ. And in this case, because again, life story and the consequences of having it be in real life, and then time happening in real time here in this set of comics, we all know JJ is the one that got Matt Gargan to be the Scorpion. The Scorpion went fucking crazy. So in this story, in this world, when it came back to like, all right, it was JJ's fault, he actually went to prison, basically for life, in this story. So we follow him around, where he didn't. Sorry, it was not from the first one. A few years down the line, and because it starts in 1965 when he first transformed Scorpion, and then when he did like his own Spider Slayer outfit, and we jump to 1966, and Captain Stacy shows up at JJ's door and being like, "Yo, Gargan is gonna is going to die, but he cut a deal, and he basically told us everything. So, and this is when, a year later, he gets prosecuted, and now JJ's in prison for the rest of his life, basically. He has some run-ins with Norman, because he's also behind bars, because in this case, he also fucking tracked down, he also got caught. There's some moments with between JJ and his son, the astronaut, like the American hero.
John.
Yeah, John, the American hero. And it's just sad because they have to have the phone conversation between the glass wall. And JJ is just still like, it's all Spider-Man's fault. And it's like, bro, like, let it fucking go. Like, you're here now. Like, I'm your son and you're going to miss out on everything. And basically that's what happens. He just walks out and JJ's like, fuck, sorry. Cut to 10 years later, 1977. And JJ's starting to write down his memoirs and going to basically be like, it's all Spider-Man's fault still. Norman gets a call, and Norman drops by like this one part and just be like, oh, hey, by the way, that's Spider-Man. And JJ's like, dude, just leave me the fuck alone. And he's like, no, like, it's actually one of, I want to give you an update. Apparently you were maybe right, JJ. Spider-Man killed a woman, and it was a wife of one of your employees, Peter Parker, I believe. And JJ's like, oh shit, like, let me just call you, like, and so he literally, it took him a year, to call Peter and be like, yo, I'm fucking sorry, but like, I was right, still, I was right, like, the Spider-Man is a menace. And Peter's just like, oh fuck, how the fuck do I handle this conversation right now, In this case, in Life Story, he did marry Gwen Stacy, and that's basically who's being referred to as who died. So Peter just kind of like cuts ties with him and be like, dude, like, you just have to, again, it all just comes almost kind of comes down to like, you have to let it go, you old crazy man. And JJ's still just relentless, still not there. Cut down to another, almost 20 years, 1992. And everybody's just so fucking old. Norman and JJ are just old men. And they're just like doing like their little like circle therapy like meetings like in prison still. And talking about how Norman is like, he's like kind of pretty much like getting close to, so he can actually finally be released. And JJ just has like a moment again, cut down to 3 years later, 1995, and JJ is still just like writing to himself. And like, a wind passes by and like knocks a few papers over. The therapist, or like the lady that was like running like the circle back then too, like 3 years ago, kind of like is there. Her name is Miss Carol. She's helping JJ and being like, and she's kind of like down in her dumps because at this point 3 years later, Norman. There's news now that Norman died in 1995. Mm-hmm. Norman died of a heart attack, but only because he was found in in one of his old mansions, in a weird lab next to some serums that his body probably couldn't take anymore. So she's kind of like, fuck, like she feels really bad because like it seems like all the work that she's putting in, it just isn't working. Like she wants to reform, or wants to help reform all these people that Spider-Man has affected, really. And now she's looking at JJ and being like, fuck, is this gonna be a case? But JJ says like, dude, like we're fucking old. Like the past is all we have, as he's collecting like his memoirs, like his papers. So she's kind of seeing like, he's still just like fucking obsessed. Cut to now 2001, and he's finally released. And he was given a letter by Norman, number 16, Brent Way, and it's this garage, and it's this giant mech suit. So I'm like, fuck, here we go. Is Norman going to set him up to go fight Spider-Man so he can just die? And JJ really did kind of learn his lesson, did kind of almost turn a new leaf on life in his time behind bars. He puts on the suit, only he caught wind that Matt Gargan was still very much obsessed. And he goes after Matt Gargan instead, and he goes to right his first wrong. And there's like this epic battle between like these old men in these suits just like duking it out. And in the end, there's like a fucking cool ass moment where Scorpion's going to come in with the tail, but he catches it and stabs him in the stomach instead. So he wins. Yay. Like Matt Gargan is finally done with. And JJ starts clutching his left arm and just has a heart attack of his own. On top of the Daily Bugle is where they ended up. And he just dies there. So they cut to the funeral, like they're lowering the casket, and you see like Spider-Man in the hand glasses, like in the background, like watching. And the therapist, Miss Carol, shows up behind him and be like, yo, like, he pretty much like she wants to have a moment with him, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry. Oh my god, Gwen, it's actually Helen now." And this the therapist isn't the real Gwen. She really did die, but this is the clone from the Clone Saga. This whole time she really did. She tells like, no, this whole time I'm trying to help people that have been affected by you. Since like they're not gonna get back. They're not gonna get together. Like she was with Ben, but then I guess like they didn't really work out with him, and now she's like trying to like she's trying to like fix like some people that have been affected through all this clusterfuck of the Spider Universe. So it was a really nice moment in the end, and she's also there to show him like, well, I think toward the end, because he asked her, and did it help? Like Jonah was so angry, I can't begin to imagine crawling out of that hole. Well, I think towards the end, it did. Hot off the press, his memoir finally came out. Just look at that. Webs. And it's almost like he was a Spider-Man all along. Untangling a Life, a memoir by J. Jonah Jameson. It's like, oh, I would love just to read that story now. Like, what inner shit that he went through, like, and like that he just like kind of came out at the other end. And now to kind of get like this whole like almost like I'm sorry. No, it was actually I enjoyed this a lot more because JJ is fucking JJ. Love him or hate him, he's just gonna be that guy. But fucking this issue really kind of won me over with him. Sometimes he's okay in my book, especially like in Spider-Man Reign. I fucking love him in that book too. But in this one, just like having him seeing him so obsessed throughout the years, and almost like in real time, and how much like that would just weigh on him. He lost his family. Like I think at one point it comes back to not really seeing John, or him finally getting out so he can finally see his grandson that John had. And he just had to do this one last mission. So fuck, Chip, god damn it, don't stay in Substack too long.
All right, what about Amazing Spider-Man 72?
Oh my god, Amazing Spider-Man 72, Legacy 873. This one by Nick Spencer. Artist by Federico Sabiantini, Zé Carlos, Marcelo Ferreira, and Carlos Gomez. Colors is only by Alex Sinclair, and lettering by Joe Caramanga. Most of the book is having Kindred do like an inner monologue, talking through maybe Peter, but basically obviously just to us. But this one, I said this word before in this episode, and this issue is also all about revelations. Oh fuck! Okay, where to fucking begin? The whole Sinister War is still happening. We don't get to touch much on like the battle. I think that's really more for the actual Sinister War book. We just see Spider-Man getting like flopped around by like a bunch of villains. That's not important here. The important part is we're cutting back to years ago with Norman on like when this other character, when Mendel Strom kind of like got the one over him way back in the day. And enter a weird guy in a black suit and a red vest. And so now we cut to present day Norman going to said old ass mansion, and then another cut with Kindred finally next with Mary Jane, and there's a weird moment because like they're at a movie theater and like he's pretty much like playing the Sinister War for her, and she's like, Harry, please like stop this, it's not too late. And like, except it is, MJ. The credits are about to roll, but before they do, like a good mystery, there's still a few twists left to reveal themselves, and he looks kind of sad. It's really and that was like the first red flag. That was the first red flag. So then we cut to Norman and Carly escaping their dungeon, and there's a crack on a wall. So Harry like kind of was like rummaged through it to make a hole in the wall, and we're at the morgue. We're at Carly's morgue, and all the bodies are gone except for one. And Harry's about to unveil it. Maybe it's the Harry corpse, but we don't get to see his reaction because, of course, we cut to back to Norman at that old mansion, that abandoned mansion, and he's now starting to see fucking the Green Goblin, like almost like as a reflection off of certain things. And he's like, "No, I've always been here." And then a wall opens up, and of course, we're in this fucking old green ass lab. And he's just like, no, like, this isn't my lab. At least I don't think it is. And, like, these tubes, like, I know what they are, but they're not mine. And then the screen pops up. Oh, but they are, Norman, just not in the flesh. And it's this Fritzy, like, screen of Norman that's going, like, in and out. And, like, it's almost like an old AI that's, like, talking to him. It's like, nope, it's all fucking happening, dude. all your monsters are real. It's all your fault. Your greed, your anger. This is what brought you here. And it's almost like that same face is just getting more distorted, turning into like the goblin. Maybe the green screen doesn't really help. But here's where we get some revelations. Maybe some retcons. Norman, also way back years ago, might have also done a deal with Mephisto. So that his company, so that Oscorp can actually grow, so that he could get the company from under Mendel Strom, so that basically it's just like in the scene with Mephisto, he's like, bro, you're fucking ruined, right? And Norman's like, you think I don't fucking know that? I'm ruined. I don't have anything left. Like, oh, come on now. We both know that's not true. And Norman's just like crying, like, what will happen? Oh, nothing at first. Your life will go on. You won't remember we had this little talk. And then he starts explaining, but certain change will start to happen. And you'll get everything you ever wanted. And you get to see like the life of like him getting the company, him concocting the goblin serum. Yeah, my legacy. And then he says, you're going to be my finest steel in a millennium, Norman. My legacy will be made flesh. All it'll cost you is your firstborn son. And we get to see the history of Harry with his friends, dropping Gwen Stacy, going through everything, getting the goblin suit, being dead in front of Spider-Man, and getting the serum. So it's kind of like, oh, fuck. And we cut back to the lab. And the screen is still talking. It was like, you got to hand it to him. He honored his side of the deal, didn't he? And Dad. And now the screen is starting to fits out a little bit more. And the screen, it starts, I need to say this part too. Been waiting so many years for this. Almost didn't make it, but I'm nothing if not a survivor. I had to upload both our minds to make it through the years. Just to look at the eyes, just look up in your eyes and say, and there's a little asterisk, this upload thing happened back in Spider-Man Legacy of Evil. Son of a bitch, Nick Spencer had one last 90s callback to kind of piece this all together.
I love the book, actually.
And the screen turns into fucking Harry. And just to say, gotcha. And it kind of cuts to everybody saying, gotcha, gotcha, everybody. And we cut back to MJ and Kindred. And he has his last line basically saying, I'm not who you think I am. At least not entirely. We are who we are, but we are not always who we say we are. It's time we learn the truth, no matter the cost. And he starts to unhood himself, and we don't get to see who it is.
Of course.
Who the fuck is it? Because even in the beginning, like the whole recap stuff, part about Norman Osborn lost his powers, Sin Eater took away his evil, whatever. And it goes, that new life was tainted when he figured out that the mysterious villain Kindred was actually his son Harry. Kindred, meanwhile, has gathered 6 Sinister Sixes to destroy Spider-Man and has also kidnapped Mary Jane Watson. But if Kindred is Harry Osborn, who is Carly Cooper? Who did Carly Cooper find in the morgue dead? How is Kindred lording over the Sixes and kidnapping Mary Jane, while at the same time Carly is with him, very much alive, trying to escape from Kindred's mausoleum? Like, I think it's gonna be a whole bait and switch. I don't think it's finally gonna be a Harry scenario. Why one last callback, and it's the legacy of evil when it just had to do with Normie. I don't think Kindred's Normie.
I don't either.
I don't want to say it's Liz. Because
I think it's Liz.
She's always around. Like, she was Menace for a while during Dark Reign. Like, she was a goblin herself when she was pregnant.
The only people referring back to Legacy of Evil would be her.
Yeah.
Or Benjamin Urich, maybe?
Right. I was thinking, but it's like, it's not going to be Ben Urich. It could be, it could be fucking...
Well, he's currently investigating the X-Men. They wouldn't be able to do that.
Oh, that's true.
Make sense.
That's true. We finally get a lead, like an actual, maybe strong lead on like this person that we haven't really been seeing this whole time. I'm pretty sure she's been around Nick Spencer's run, but she's never been like, hey, like, I've been here, so you don't think that I'm suspicious or I'm like a suspect. So fuck, what if it is her this whole time? It's just like there's so many Harrys literally in play right now. So then for him to finally be the big bad again, I don't know. It's just it was just like, again, like a great book of revelations. So yeah, that was Amazing Spider-Man, and it's just Nick Spencer's run is almost coming to an end, and I just don't want it to.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna run through my solos because
cool.
I got a couple. Star Wars: War of the Bounty Hunters, Darth Vader, number 15. Once again, I'm getting the wanted poster variant, so I got this one with Kira.
Oh, those are cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really digging these. I really like them. Written by Greg Pak, art by Raphael Ienco. There we go. Color by Jason Keith and letter by Joe Caramagna. So this one focuses on... I thought it would focus on his fight with Kira, but it doesn't so much. Doesn't really mention it. It is about him and Ochi, who is now Vader's servant. Ochi of Bastoon. And basically Vader tests him and has him go up a bunch against the Crimson Dawn. I'm going to go through it real quick. Basically, he kills them all. And it's Vader testing whether or not he's actually a traitor. So it looks like Vader still trusts him. And we get this cool shot of them just tearing people up together. So
nice.
Fun. Star Wars Dr. Aphra number 13. Once again, wanted poster variant. So this is written by Alyssa Wong, penciled by Minkyu Jung, inked by Victor Olazaba, colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, and lettered by Joe Caramagna. So this one takes place during the auction. And since Dr. Aphra is there, one of the things with Dr. Aphra is she fucked up Darth Vader recently.
Oh, yeah.
And he has sworn vengeance on her no matter what. So he shows up to the auction. She's like, we got to get the fuck out of here, basically. So that's basically what they do. They get away. They're still at the party. They're just away from him. And but they're still doing their mission, which is to steal this information from this broker, who they find out actually is a double agent for the Crimson Dawn. So it's all tying back to the Crimson Dawn. So it's pretty cool. They also get caught at the end and captured and put in a cell of some kind. So don't know what's going on there. We also got a little bit of a follow-up with Just Lucky, who I love. He's great. And what's going on with them, but I won't get too much into that because it was just a little bit of a side story there. So, but really enjoying Dr. Aphra. It's easily my favorite Star Wars book. But I'm really enjoying the crossover as a whole. So
I love that. That's usually the general consensus. Like everybody fucking loves Dr. Aphra.
Yeah, it's great. Alyssa Wong does a great job. The art's always nice. It's cool. Really good. Speaking of consensus, great books. Black Widow number 10.
Ooh,
check out this cover.
Yeah,
like just fucking great. I love this variant. Written by Kelly Thompson, penciled by Elena Casagrande and Rafael De La Torre. Inked by Elisabetta D'Amico and Rafael De La Torre. Colored by Jordi Belair and lettered by Corey Petit. This is a Mark Brooks cover, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is the end of this arc. It's a 4-issue arc where they've been fighting these powered individuals that they have powers, but they're burning out their bodies. As they use the powers, they basically explode. And one of the people they saved is a young girl who has electric powers because of this. And they keep telling her not to use her powers because she's going to explode, but she wants to help them. Both Yelena and both Black Widows basically, and Aranya both go in to fight, leaving the scientist nerd dude and the lightning chick together. He's trying to find a cure for this. She makes herself a dope ass costume,
nice,
which I think looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so fuck.
Yeah, and basically they got the cure, so they're going to go meet them. They're fighting a bunch of bad guys, and again, one of the highlights of this book is how amazing the action is written. So, again, I don't want to go blow by blow, but it's just really cool, awesome action. At one point, it looks like they're going to be overwhelmed when all of a sudden the bad guys start getting hit with something. And they say, "Glad you can make it, Hawkeye." Boom! Kate Bishop shows up to help.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the lightning chick and the scientist show up, and the lightning chick uses her powers, punches the dude. And they're like, "Stop using your powers, you're going to explode. We've talked about this." They set off a bomb that cures all the disease, or all the things. Also, this double page spread.
Oh, one of those you get to follow.
Every single one of these is a little action bit.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. All the little cells and stuff. But long story short, they're able to cure the bad guy of his power. He falls into a water thing. But the lightning chick uses her powers again, and she starts overheating.
Oh, no.
And she's like, it burns. They're able to inject her with the cure, and it stops. She's not going to explode, but her powers won't shut off.
Oh, shit.
So now her arms are basically made of lightning, and she can't touch anybody.
Oh.
And in the end, they agree to go out and get some food, and we get a shot of them as a little team. And I really hope this team continues, because I actually really like this lineup.
That's cool ensemble, yeah.
Yeah. I really dig it. Yelena continues to be amazing. So, also this next cover,
Oh my god.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, good stuff. Leading directly into that is Winter Guard #1, written by Ryan Cady, with art by Jibril Morissette-Fan, John Bazadula, colors by Federico Blee, lettering by Ariana Mayer. So for those who don't know, the Winter Guard is basically the Russian Avengers. And coming straight into the World War She-Hulk story, they were all just kind of wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Yelena finding out about it. And then basically Captain Marvel specifically found out she was in Russia shortly before then and met with one of them. So she's like, what are you doing? You're a double agent. And Yelena's like, no, I'm not. So Yelena basically tells the story. And basically it's her and Alexei.
Oh, nice.
And they're teaming up to do a thing, and they're actually opposed by the Winter Guard. And so it's basically a way to show off that they're going to fight the Winter Guard and everything like that. It's just a really cool action scene. I'm not sure what's going on yet, but they hint at there's a traitor within the Winter Guard, and we don't know who it is. So I think this is going to be a nice mini, and I'm pretty excited about it because there's some fun characters in here. Also, Ursa Major, who is the one that transforms into a bear, and Darkstar are both mutants. And they actually address Ursa. He basically says he's not equipped to go just frolic on an island like the other mutants. Basically, he makes a point about it. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, pretty good. We know he dies in World War She-Hulk, though. That already happened. So this is a flashback. So I'm like, oh, poor guy. Maybe they'll resurrect him.
But there's a whole forest for him to run around in.
I know, right? I want to see Darkstar go because she's great. She was actually an X-Men shortly. Well, she was an X-Corps, but that's the same thing for me. All right, I think that is my solos.
Nice.
We share the rest of these. Yes, are you ready for the United States of Captain America #3?
Oh my god, yes. Oh, fuck, yes.
Written by Christopher Cantwell and Darcy Little Badger. Art by Del Eaglesham and David Cutler and Roberto Poggi. Color by Matt Mia and letter by Joe Caramagna. So once again, we're on the road trip with Sam and Steve. And they're in New Mexico trying to catch the fake Captain America, which we know is Speed Demon.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the last book was like Sin being like, they can't figure out that you're Speed Demon and they can't figure out that I'm Sin. And then on page 2, they're like, Speed Demon? Like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, that was pretty funny to me. And they go kind of through a couple things he did to mess up between this story and everything. So, and that's when they introduce us to our newest one, our newest Captain America, who is in Kansas and on I don't want to screw it up. What tribe was Kickapoo Reservation? Joe Gomez in Kansas, and he's this really hench native dude. Looks awesome.
Oh hell yeah!
And he reveals that he basically looks up to Captain America really strongly. I love this because when you have a native character, and I'll use an example of Super Chief. Or Man of Bats over in DC that I hate.
Oh, okay.
And I was worried about this one. Of all the issues of this, I was worried about this one. Because I was like, the country of the United States of America has done a lot to the indigenous people of this country.
Yeah.
To have him look up to Captain America is a risk.
Yeah.
But they do such a good job of explaining why.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he starts off not doing so. And not believing in American superheroes and telling himself they're not here for us.
Yeah. And
then Cap ends up basically proving he's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he looks up to him, which I thought was really cool. It's not just a blindly patriotic indigenous character. So I really, really dug that. And honestly, when I first saw the costume, I was like, but now I look at it, I'm like, actually, this is pretty appropriate.
Oh, I
like,
fucking love the costume from the get-go. I was like, yes. It just looks so appropriate in how he would just like build it up himself.
Yeah. So yeah, basically they run into Joe and they team up with him against Speed Demon and Sin.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to mention I love Sin. She's one of my favorite Marvel villains. So glad she's back. So great. The run of Captain America with Bucky as Captain America and her as basically his Red Skull. Oh, yeah. That was some good shit. So But Joe gets injured, long story short. They have to fight them. It's a typical heroic kind of story where they're trying to attack somebody who's running for governor who's also indigenous. And yeah, it ends up that Joe saves the day. But yeah, it was really cool. And then we get the requisite backstory where they actually explain how Captain America actually saved his life once.
Mm-hmm.
But not just saved his life. Joe actually saved the day. And then Captain America saved him from, dying at the end.
Yeah.
But he did the work, which I thought was pretty cool. So,
and with the fucking wrecking crew, like I always forget about them.
There's such a good throwaway villain.
Yeah.
Like if you just need an actual threat that you can beat and no one will care. You know what I mean? Like Rhino. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but like the Rhino will always win me over because like he's had his cool like at the very least like 2-part like book that I just like I'll always be fond over. The Wrecking Crew just needs like maybe like an updated story so that they don't keep recycling it. Like, hey, we beat Thor once. That was forever ago. Like nobody really gives a shit about that anymore.
I'm almost certain the Power Pack beat them in the 80s.
Oh my God.
Not quite certain, but it sounds right.
That's rich.
So yeah, just
I like going back when we got Joe Gomez's info page when I was like my eyes just like open is like he's 43. I had to like go back and like look at him all over again because I was kind of putting him like late 20s, maybe 30s. I was like, oh shit, 43. This man rules.
Yeah, he's in fantastic shape. So yeah. Next up, let's. Oh, good.
Oh, sorry. Last thing, like it broke my heart on like how real I got. And, like that's what I like about this book a lot too, and how we're talking about like it was gonna be very touchy how they're gonna approach Joe Gomez as a character. But then this book has just been really real on like the runaway gay Captain America, which is like a really cool and like people were thinking like, oh, he's just gonna be like the next Cap that everyone's gonna run with. Like, no, that wasn't it at all. People just couldn't wait until it got out. And now
the point is that anyone can be Captain America.
Yes. But sorry, I love how real this book can touch on a lot of subjects, and so much so that I fucking hated the part where like the candidate had to like step down because of, like the world's not ready for a Cheyenne candidate, even if it's just for like a state representative or like for a governor. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like in the heart of fucking America, like how could it not be? And then it's just so sad because like
as somebody who's lived very close to there.
Yeah, fucking A, right? So yeah, it broke my heart where it's just like, God, they even treat this part real, and then how he would until it's just like maybe down the line, But fuck.
He made the point of also protecting his family.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. Then he would just be a target.
I was like, yeah. So
yeah, US of Cap A, I was just like, had just been like it was an underdog book.
Oh, and we should mention, I forgot to mention, Bucky joins the group at the end of the issue.
Yes,
so we finally get Bucky in,
which has probably arguably one of my favorite Cap suit. I love his shininess.
Yeah, and then we know U.S. agents appearing at some point.
Yes.
So hopefully next issue. So, which I think is funny because U.S. Agent is kind of a racist, and I'm wondering how he's going to play into this story. So, yeah, that's kind of his thing, is he's always been kind of racist.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious. So, all right, so let's move on to Amazing Fantasy number 2.
Ooh, okay.
I got the Peach Momoko cover.
Well, let me see it. I didn't see it.
It's my favorite Peach Momoko sketch cover so far.
Oh wow, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so different.
Beautiful.
I like it.
Yeah. So this book is a trip.
Yeah, it is very different.
Written and drawn by Kara Andrews, letter by Joe Sabino. So we have these heroes taken at different parts of their lives and transported to this world that it's kind of like a fantasy world, kind of like almost like a Lost World type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Ben's there as an old man, and he refers to it as kind of like limbo. I don't know if that's official or that's just how he feels,
Yeah.
So. But yeah, we get a bunch of different characters in different situations. We got, Captain America with a tribe of women, saving them from basically Castor from the freaking Game of Thrones season 1.
Literally thought about that too.
Yeah. We got Black Widow, who's taken in as a bride. Did she age up like 6 years between books? Because I remember her being like a little kid.
Yeah.
When she ran away, but now she's kind of drawn as an adult, so I wasn't sure if like time passed, if that's made clear. And then we have a teenage Peter Parker talking with Uncle Ben, who feels like he failed him, basically. Never taught him how to be a man, so. But it's all done in a very fantasy style. There's orcs and shit. There's fairies, or all this stuff. I thought this was really cool. It's very interesting. I think it's going to be so much better when I'm able to look at all of it at once.
Yeah, I think so too. But at the same time, it seems like such a not Marvel book.
Yeah,
the whole thing with the tribe of women and how they're running it, basically exactly like the scene in episode in Game of Thrones. But just I don't know, like the tone of it, where when Cap leaves and he's like, the boy America comes with me, and if it's dangerous, then he will become strong. It almost seems like not the most Steve Rogers line, but yeah, it's such a different.
But it was Steve Rogers plucked from the 40s.
Oh yeah, that's so true. That is so true.
So he's probably fighting alongside a bunch of boys not much older than that guy who lied about their age to join the military.
You know what? You're so fucking right.
Yeah.
And then the whole side story with Black Widow, and then there might be the love triangle scenario where it's just not that I ship it with her and the Centaur guy, but it was that little moment just felt it doesn't really feel like your typical Marvel book.
Yeah. And then they got a crazy tease on the last page.
Yes.
With whatever this is.
Oh my god, Chibi Storm is my new fucking favorite thing.
with the side hair and everything, I love it.
It's Mohawk Chibi Storm, and I fucking love it.
It's so good. I can't wait to see what's happening here. So, maybe we're gonna get more and more introduced. I don't know. So we'll see.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Next up, let's kick it over to the Spider-Verse a little bit.
Okay.
Talk about Non-Stop Spider-Man number 4, written by Joe Kelly, penciled by Chris Bacalo. I got that right.
Bacello?
Oh, there we go. The way this is laid out, it looks very strange. Inked by Tim Townsend, Wayne Foucher, Alvey, Livesay, and Jamie Mendoza. It's 2 lines, so there was nothing after Tim Townsend. I was confused. Color by Marcio Meniz with Eric Arcianega, and letter by Travis Lanham. We haven't actually had a Non-Stop in a month and a half.
It had been a while.
So basically, we take up where we left off, where the 2 luchadors have okay, this is going to sound insane if you've never read this book, by the way. Where the 2 luchadors' brains expanded and fused into one, and Spider-Man is fighting Zemo, who is awfully quippy, unlike his normal self.
Yeah.
They have this awesome mid-air fight with a plane, and it's just so much going on in this book. And it's a lot of fun. And we've talked about in the past that just having Chris Bacalo back on this book, doing Spider-Man, is just great because he's just one of the best. And I love that it's very kinetic.
Yes.
And I think it's really cool that, I don't know if you noticed this aesthetic, by the way, but every time it's just the bad guys, the panels are straight. Every time Spidey shows up, it goes diagonal.
Oh shit, you're so right. That's a great call out.
Yeah, it's a visual cue. Even in this page, where the top half is Spidey but the bottom half isn't, they make the transition mid-page.
Oh, that is so fucking dope. Yeah.
Or right here, it's pretty much all the bad guys, but as soon as Spidey does a thing, even in the very last panel, yeah.
Oh my god, you're so. Or even this one. I'm just noticing because I love this joke in this book, but it's all Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But then you get the whole the water bit, and his panel is just perfect.
Yep.
That. I just have to call it that joke. It's this isn't Tap, is it? I flush with the very best. It's water from the motherland, Baron. God, you're a miracle.
I think it's really cool that I like that little stylistic thing they're doing.
I hadn't noticed.
It reminds me of course, you've seen the movie 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things David Fincher does in his movies is he never uses a handheld camera with shake. He doesn't like to use it at all.
Okay.
He never, ever uses it. But he does in 7.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is, in the last scene of 7, when they have John Doe, the what's in the box scene,
yeah.
If the camera's ever on John Doe, it's rock solid, doesn't move.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's on the detectives, it's constantly moving because they're agitated and they don't have control of the situation. It's kind of like this, except it's a good thing because Spider-Man's so kinetic and always moving, and it's non-stop Spider-Man. So giving us the diagonal visual makes it feel like it's moving no matter what. But then the bad guy's the slow, calculated, I love that visual thing. It's such a great little trick. It just makes that so much better.
It actually elevated the book so much more for me because it's such a great detail to how could I miss it? I fucking love the beginning though, when he's literally warning. It's like, hey, Doc Strange, like I kind of left some like weird shit over there. You might
It's gonna be weird.
You might picking it up for me. It's gonna be weird. Doc, did I use stat wrong? By the hoary host.
Did you just really teleport, you think? Yeah,
it's like, what can really weird out Doctor Strange? And it's like, yep, he can still be weirded out.
All right. Next up, a number one that I was hotly anticipating,
Ooh.
and I'm very excited to talk about, because I was a big New Warriors fan, and that is Darkhawk number one.
Okay.
I got this cover,
Yeah,
and I got this cover.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to. I just had to get the multiple covers. So we're going to run through the creative team. Now, I'm excited for a Darkhawk book in general, but written by Kyle Higgins. Right there, doing Darkhawk. Mwah, perfect. Arts by Juan Ramirez, colored by Eric Arcianiga, and letter by Travis Lanham. So as we saw the original Darkhawk, which was Chris Powell, I believe, he passed away. We saw the story for that in the last Darkhawk one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the Darkhawk crystal flew off to find a new host. And it does. And obviously, we don't need to get into too much detail about who the kid is and his story, but I will say I love... This reminds me almost of Static. You know, like, it's like this... It's set in a big city. It's just a kid from the neighborhood. It looks like a lot of the supporting characters are going to be his friends and family. And it's got a really cool tragic story to it with a good hook.
There hasn't been one like it in a while. Like the sports prodigy that then like some tragic shit happens, but then in this case it's not just like the accident. It's just something a little bit more deeper than that. And it's like fuck. It's like I haven't had like an origin like this in a while. Yeah,
and I was thrown off because I was like, oh, the crystal's inside of him and he's having seizures because his body's... Nope, that's not it at all. It's much more mundane and much worse, actually.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was like, oh. And just, it was really cool. And it's about, you know, what do you do when the thing you thought you're going to do the rest of your life, you're not going to now?
Yeah.
And what's the purpose? What's your identity in all this? And I will say this, the last page, they did such a good job of telegraphing. Okay, I'll put it this way. When they're leaving the game and they run into those three dudes, I was being like, oh, those are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Clearly, those are the bad guys. And they did such a good job of telling me those are the bad guys that when they were, and then there was a second swerve, didn't see it coming at all. Caught me completely off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll say about it is, it's very clear this is written by the same person as Radiant Black.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, they're similar and told in a great young man story way. You know what I mean? Like, he does a really good job of that. And just like, oh, I love this book. I'm really excited to continue reading it. What do you think?
No, he does have a good hold on like that formula. I was totally reading Radiant Black as I was reading this. Not necessarily saying, oh, he's just like repeating the same thing. But it's like, I like that he can still flesh it out into like these two different things. Like, yeah, they're both very different individuals, especially with their struggles. So yeah, like I said, like I really like that. I got this like kind of almost like old school origin tale on like the struggles of like the dude before he kind of becomes like the hero. It's always been super like just intricate or super complicated, like in like the last few new characters and like in their origins and how they come up. So it's kind of cool seeing like the sports prodigy character again.
Yeah. And I love the new armor design.
Oh yeah, it is very cool.
It's amazing. I love it so much. So, especially the wings.
Mm-hmm.
The way he's using them is almost like talons. Like, it's just so cool looking. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to Marvel Voices Identity number 1.
Oh yeah.
So this is an anthology, and it's basically stories from people of Asian and Pacific Islander descent. And there's a lot of them, as there usually is. So I'll run through all the creative. Oh, I got 2. I got that one, of course. And then I got, of course, in Yokli.
Oh, bro, come on.
It's so beautiful.
That
like
arm, oh my face.
Yeah, I love it. So I'll run through the creative teams real quick. First story, Jean Louis Yang and Marcus Toe with Sunny Go. It's hard to beat that right off the bat.
Right?
Like, start off that hot, Christina Strain and Jason Liu, Greg Pak and Kreese Lee with Brian Reber, Sabir Pirzada and Mashal Ahmad with Niraj Menon, Alyssa Wong and Wills Patricio. I love that they brought Wills Patricio back because I love Wills Patricio with J. David Ramos. Jeremy Holt with Alti Fermancia and Irma Nivila. Ken Nomura, Maureen Gu, Lin Yoshi, and Sebastian Chang. So there's so much going on. Just know that all those people were involved. Joe Sabino did the lettering. So the first story, the one by Jin Liu Yang and Marcus To, is a really cool little side Shang-Chi story. It's a good companion to the current series we're reading right now. Because it's all about him, trying to redeem the Five Weapons Society and everything. And I love it because basically, like, he's fighting his what if version. What if he's trained with his father? And yes, he's a better fighter in the way of the hand in that world. But he's talking about how much he learned from his friends. So he's like doing a Spider-Man kick and doing all these things. And he's like, and even my own siblings. And it's him throwing things like Sister Dagger. Yes. And I love that. So,
well, I like that Black Panther got the teammates call out.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. Next story, we get a really cool story with Jubilee, which is funny because check this out. I forget that Jubilee is Asian, and that sounds horrible. No, because I never think about Jubilee anymore.
Oh, okay.
I haven't thought about her in a long time, except for Excalibur. You know what I mean? And even in Excalibur, she's usually like the fifth most prominent character. She's never like in my face. Mm-hmm. So when I was thinking about potential characters for this, she didn't pop into my head.
Okay.
So for her to pop up, I'm like, oh yeah, and I was really excited. I used to love Jubilee. Arguably, the most popular X-Men that's actually not appeared in a movie yet, I would say.
Well, I mean, they never confirmed her, boy. Wasn't she like the yellow?
Made a major appearance.
Right.
Because everybody appeared in like a little cameo. Right. And Olay apparently is in issue or in X3. So, but I'm gonna say like not actually been a character.
Oh, and so was Blob Herman.
Bob Herman, yeah. So yeah. Also, is she with Chamber now?
That's what I got too. I mean, showing up with a baby and like this very tender moment, very like sensitive.
Yeah, because that's her baby from Excalibur.
Oh yeah.
But it says, "We're just glad you're both here." Mm-hmm. I was kind of like, and Chamber walking all barefoot like a John Lennon motherfucker. You make a cool Jimmy Woo backup story. Love Jimmy Woo.
Yes.
It's very Agents of Atlas. If you've ever loved Agents of Atlas, it's basically what it's like. Then we get a really cool story with Kamala Khan in Karachi, Pakistan.
Oh man,
which is really cool. I really dug that, about like
this one's kind of heavy
the kebabs.
Too.
It made me want to have kebabs, though. I'll be flat on this. I was like, "Ooh, kebabs!"
But like their moment where it's just like it wasn't one of the most happy ones too.
Yeah, where he said the whole like, "You're a self-hating Pakistani."
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's not fair, man.
I know, right? Like,
she wasn't raised there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's a different culture, and I thought that was kind of messed up. So
yeah.
And then I was curious about your opinion on this next one.
Oh, okay.
Because we got Wave from Agents of Atlas, and I love Agents of Atlas. It's a really cool group, and she teams up with Bishop, who I know you hate.
I do,
and I love the story of Bishop being like, "Holy shit, you're Wave from the Agents of Atlas." She's like, "Huh?" And he's like, "You're a legend in my time." And I thought that was really cool because Bishop never does stuff like that.
That I did. I did like. I like when it's almost like polar time ends meet, and so I like that. Like that time reversal where in his time she would be a full-fledged hero in his comeuppance, and I like that he gets a little nerd out moment.
Yeah, and to be frank, I saw this panel right here.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of shipping it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So that was cute. Then we get the Silhouette story. I love Silhouette, so I'm so happy this existed. Oh. She was a member of the New Warriors. Mm-hmm. And she uses canes to walk around.
Yeah.
That's all. She's always been like that, but she's still a superhero, which I thought was really cool. And I love how this story took a turn on me because it was originally like, the dregs of dating in New York, and it's just the three guys, and the last guy's just on his phone, and it's like, oh, what a jerk, But then it flips around and tells you why he's on his phone.
Yeah,
and it was actually really sweet and cute, and I really dug that actually. Mm-hmm. So, and I just love the art of this one particularly. I love the way she's drawn. It's just done really well.
It was very sweet.
It's almost like Money Shot, like the art, like her face and stuff.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, which I really dug. So, and then we get the Armor Silver Samurai story, which was hilarious.
So fucking adorable.
Yes, I love that one.
Especially like the baby Silver Samurai, like when he's like reflecting back and he's just like in the armor as a baby with his mom.
Yeah, I like the idea that he's a baby in armor. That's pretty funny. Yeah. And then we get an awesome one with Silk and Amadeus Cho, Braun.
Oh, yeah.
And where they fight Scarecrow. Now, you guys, if you follow me on Twitter, might have seen I posted part of this because it made me laugh so hard. Where Scarecrow is like, do you know what it feels like to never get attention, to feel invisible? And they look at each other like, do we know what it feels like? Sir, we are Asian American. The delivery of it, sir, we are Asian American. I just started laughing in my head so hard. And then they actually rage out on him, which is great. And I love Cho being like, we're Korean, we're born angry. Yeah. That was great. So, I loved this. This is so much fun. I love getting these little collections.
Oh, bro.
And did you see the next one?
You're telling me, bro. This next one's going to be the best one.
Yeah.
Marvel Voices, Comunidades. I cannot fucking wait for this one.
And just look at the group.
Yes.
Miles, the
Robbie,
current Ghost Rider, Reptile.
Yeah, Robbie Reyes.
America, Sunspot, White Tiger. Yeah, dude.
And so much so because this has actually been my favorite Marvel Voices so far.
I like that it's not so gigantic.
Yeah.
Some of them, like, between DC and Marvel, some have been like a book, and I'm like, I don't need that. You know what I mean?
We had, like, the Native Voices one. That one was pretty fun.
I like the Native one quite a bit.
This one just, like, kind of really won me over on how just seeing on this side. But, man, this next one now just being a little closer to home for me. God, I can't fucking wait. Especially with, like, the teams that they'll probably get. Only because, like, they kind of stick to just, like, those writers for those books. So I cannot wait to see all the, like, the Latinx, like, community just, like, coming together for the next one.
And the cover's by Quesada.
Oh, no shit.
So, yeah,
cool.
Which is really cool.
Fucking cool.
I'm going to have to get the A just because Joe Quesada
absolutely.
did it, so. Yeah, so. All right, we got 4 books left. Strange Academy, number 12. I got this Arthur Adams cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Strange Academy, written by Scotty Young, drawn by Humberto Ramos, color by Edgar Delgado, and letter by Clayton Cowles.
Another book that felt like a while, right?
For like 3 months.
Yeah, dude.
Like, it disappeared forever. And right in the middle of a climactic moment where Calvin's jacket turned against them all. We find out that it's like a demon possession thing, and it killed Toth, and they're trying to put Toth back together. And we find out all this stuff about Calvin in his past and about how he was lonely and sad and everything. And it's just so good. And God, I miss Strange Academy.
I missed it so much too.
So much fun. This, Gus.
Yes.
It is time to stop hurting our friends. Like, so good. And just them all working together to stop the bad guy was really cool.
Desi
and then
showing up.
We finally get Desi to get a cool moment, because I don't think Desi's really had a badass moment yet.
Not like
that's one of the characters, you know. Yeah, because one of the things we talked about early on with this book is they did such a good job of throwing a whole cast of characters at us, and then start developing one and then another and another.
Like my favorite ones were like with Herman. Obviously, Doyle was like our favorite one, but from like the girls, like I was always looking out for Desi, and I was like, when's her fucking moment coming up? Holy shit, did she just demon up?
Yeah, and now I'm looking at the group, I'm like, I think that's everybody. I mean, I don't think Alvy's really gotten a moment of his own. But,
right, like,
I mean,
we went to Asgard, but we didn't really kind of focus on them too much like this. Like,
we didn't focus on him. It was Eric we did. Yeah. Eric was the one with the Enchantress and stuff. We never see, Man Bun is what I call him. So we never see him do anything like. But you don't get to see him to get development on his own. So.
It's probably only because whenever he is around the school, he's always tends to be not a voice of reason, but at least not a douche face like his brother.
Yeah. And I love the fact that they defeated the monster because they're emo teens, basically.
Yes.
They're all emo teens, and it's so funny.
It was so angsty. Like, the angst and emo-ness was what triumphed, and then Desi just gobbling up the demon.
That's fucked up.
So awesome.
And the way this had the end on the end, I was incredibly worried this was the end of the series. I immediately turned over and said, okay, good, issue 13. I was like, shit. Like, this scared me so bad.
Because Ramos, or sometimes Scotty Young, but Ramos in particular, just tends to stay in a 12-issue series and jump ship. Like champions. Champions was one that he was around and actually liked him for Champions, and then he fucking left. And I was like, oh, and then I think the whole team left. I think it was Mark Waid and him like stepped away. So I was kind of worried that they were going to kind of be done with it here as well.
Yeah. But man, did I miss that book. It's so good. It's incredible. So,
yeah.
Next up, Thor number 16. I got this cover, of course. Our favorite horse Thor.
I didn't see that. What?
It's the Peach Momoko cover.
Need it. Oh my god.
Horse Thor. I'm the worst nerd boy in the world. It's Better Ray Bill, guys. I know. We read the whole mini. Trust me, I know Better Ray Bill is. I've known Better Ray Bill since the 90s. No, I'm not going to go on a rant.
And written. Oh yeah, go finish it.
Written by Tawny Cates. Guest artist Michelle Bandini. Cast inkers Michelle Bandini, Elizabeth D'Amico. Coloring by Matt Wilson and lettering by Joe Sabino.
And for the last time, probably for the last episode, the word revelations.
Yes. Man. So Thor, we know, gave up the hammer. And I love this bit, basically. It goes over the dream he had in the future where Thanos has Mjolnir with all the Infinity Gems stuck in it, which is just a cool image. And idea.
It is.
Like, and he's talking to Jane about it. She's like, wait, let me get this straight. You had a dream that Thanos took your hammer, and then you just left your hammer somewhere? He's like, and then he goes and gets some hot dogs, which I thought was great.
Oh,
and then him and Valkyrie team up, and who do they beat up? The Wrecking Crew! Second L for the week for them. And then Thor gets summoned by, apparently his mother shows up, and who's there but his drunken piece of shit father, Odin. And they're arguing. A big monster comes in. They stop it. I love the image of them right here, side by side, holding it back.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was really cool. It really highlights the similarities between them and stuff. Where's your hammer, boy? And the monster's head goes flying off. And then I know Josue had a little, like, squee come out inside of him when there's his mother and your sister Angela and I would like to have a word.
Finally. Fucking finally.
Yes. So cool. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, because like the cool thing here is like, on this last page, Angela obviously is like the coolest thing ever. But Freya's outfit, I'm not sure she went through like a whole costume change, but she's rocking like what Thor has been rocking since the start of this run. Like when he kind of had like the whole rune like for like on his chest and everything. She's kind of rocking a similar vibe here. So I'm kind of, oh man, what is really going to happen in this next issue? Like, God damn it. What a great ending. What a great conclusion here for this, or the cliffhanger here.
Yeah. We still got one more for this story.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. But it's like, how pissed is Angela? Is Angela pissed? Like, I mean, Thor has been rocking, like, his own thing. Like, he's also, I mean, like, he fought the Black Winter. We should at least, like, thank him for that, too. But, like, Angela never comes around for, like, hey, let's have a beer first. Like, she's always pissed off or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very much an angel of vengeance.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So... All right, now we're going to move on to our X-Books. It's an incredibly light week for X-Books, comparatively. Let's start with Wolverine, of course, number 15. Of course we're starting with Wolverine. The other one's the number one, Josue.
I mean, yeah, but this is more of the actual X-Book. The Cable isn't even part of the roster back here.
I want to reveal. Written by Benjamin Percy, drawn by Adam Kubert, colored by Frank Martin, and lettered by Corey Petit. Of course, I got the cover A, but I also got the Inhyuk Lee Jubilee cover.
Oh, nice. Okay, that was a better Jubilee cover than the Marvel Voices Jubilee cover. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I like this one a lot. So basically, the thing I really, really like about this is they're really just... they're dealing with the fact of what happened at the Gala, where the Marauder was damaged and everything was stolen. Mm-hmm. But this whole story, the whole purpose of this is just to get Solemn back in Wolverine's targets, his crosshairs. And that's all it is. That's all this was, is to get that. And it's setting up for them to have an awesome confrontation. So specific details, there's not a lot to go over, I think. I mean, if there's something specific you want to highlight, by all means.
There was...
specifically the Muramasa Blade and stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But really, I'm just so excited because that was one of the cool things we got through Ten of Swords was, this guy's going to be in Wolverine's life for a while.
Yes.
You know, he's going to be the new Cyber. You know, that's what I kind of got from
that's a good callback. I really like that one. No, honestly, and because like, why give a shit to give us so much of his backstory, of where he came from as a child to where he grew up and how he became a badass. You don't just do that for a throwaway character. I want Solomon to stay around for a while, to be not a rotating villain, like make him be original still, but keep him as one of Wolverine's rogues. Oh, for sure. Wolverine has the interior, like the adamantium interior. Solomon has the adamantium skin. Bro, give me a fucking Clash of the Decades for that one.
I want Akihiro to be involved in this.
Ooh.
Because the whole thing with Solomon is he's a seducer.
Oh, yeah.
And Akihiro has that, and like he's kind of between the two of them, you know what I mean? Like midway between them, and that's really cool to me. I like that dynamic. So I hope he shows up in this book, especially with X Factor canceled. He's free now.
He's free now, for sure. And so, I don't remember what other book did it this week. I swear, because it's like, oh shit, it happened to Wolverine too. But a book did this where you had to read it like this.
Yeah,
that I really like that whole like full page like of Wolverine, because like to get Wolverine this big was really cool. When
he does a big berserker thing, it always looks really cool.
And I just can't remember what other book did that this week too.
Yeah. Oh no, we'll have to look.
Yeah, no, for sure. But no, I definitely enjoyed this Wolverine book, only because like we're it seems like we're going to keep Solomon for a while.
Yeah. All right, that takes us to our last book, Cable Reloaded #1. Part of the Last Annihilation, which is Josue's first dipping his toes into the Last Annihilation. Written by Al Ewing. No, you had Sword. That's right.
Yeah.
Written by Al Ewing, drawn by Bob Quinn, colored by Hava Tartaglia, and lettered by Joe Sabino.
Oh, it was.
So I got this cover, which very much does not feature Rob Liefeld's art.
Yes.
And that was pretty much my only requirement, because fuck Rob Liefeld.
It's in this book, by the way.
What? Oh, okay. that should make sense. So this is a reboot with the old man Cable.
Yes.
And the first thing I want to do is talk about the art. So my very first instinct was like, oh, we're going back to the 90s style art. And then I realized, wait, no. It is, but it isn't.
Uh-huh.
It's like done in a really fun way that I actually really enjoyed.
Yes.
Not in a really ham-fisted, and I don't want to drop his name again, Rob Liefeld way.
Yeah.
Where it looks terrible. It also makes fun of the pouches.
Yes.
Which is very funny. So I really enjoyed this, and I like having, as much as I loved Kid Cable and Kid Cable learning to be Cable and everything, that was a lot of fun. I love having super capable Cable back, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's good at his job. And
oh, yeah, the moment between him and Brand, or him being like, these are two people of the same side of the coin, so there's some tension here on who wants to like run it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like that scene.
There's an awesome moment with him and Rocket Raccoon where he reveals that Rocket was basically a galactic folk hero in his future, and he salutes him and shit. I loved that.
Sir, it'll be an honor.
I just love the plan, which is Cable will jump out of a spaceship and slam into the ground as hard as he can and get up, basically. I was like, yeah, that's great. Also, this shit is incredible.
Oh my god.
The hard light arm is just such a cool story.
We were talking about shipping earlier. I ship him and his arm.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah, got it. And I love the team he put together. Cannonball, who is the only person Cable's ever trusted fully, which I absolutely love. Boomer, of course, Boom Boom / Meltdown / all her code names. And it threw me back to the X-Force days. It really did.
I liked his little notes about each of the people, too.
Yeah. WizKid.
Yes.
Cora, which was amazing. Cora, we'll get to Cora. And Layla Cheney, who was also an X-Force.
Nice.
And basically just a pop star who can teleport. That's all she really does. She has no combat capabilities whatsoever.
I love what he says about WizKid. When I was young, I thought he was a rock star. To WizKid.
Yeah. So yeah, basically they have a cool fight, very X-Force style fight, where they're like try to limit the destruction and the casualties, and they fail at both.
Yep.
Which is great. They're riding these things. Cora turns out to be such a fucking badass.
Yes.
Like I cannot wait to see what they're doing with this character. And then there's your 2-page.
Yeah, that's the one I meant.
With basically a Megazord. That's what I was like. Is that a Megazord? So they fight it, and it's just really cool because Cora has like fire abilities, but it also seems like she can boost powers, like Cortez, but not shitty.
Yeah.
And so they do a cool thing with Cannonball, which I love because Cannonball's basically immortal. So he destroys the thing all by himself. It's just kind of showing how like Cable knows what he's doing.
Oh, for sure.
They're just reinforcing this Cable is capable of what he's doing. You know? What I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and this whole mission was to steal a giant planet-sized super gun and take it back to Mars. And now they have a super gun. And I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, and what do I keep in the pouches? We have ammunition.
Bullets.
which kind of, I'm like, this looks an awful lot like the bullet that Kitty Pryde was stuck in. And I feel kind of odd about that. Like,
it's not necessarily planet-sized, but
yeah,
but a little bit. Oh, for sure.
It's a little bit much, guys, but yeah. So we'll see how much that plays into the downfall of Dormammu. So,
oh yeah,
I really liked it. It's a good start. I don't know if this is going to be ongoing or if this was just a one shot.
I know, right? Like Cable Reloaded as a number one, mostly for a tie-in. I was kind of seeing it as a one shot as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I think if it was a one shot, they'd call it, like the Last Annihilation Cable Reloaded.
Because like if you look at it in the back as well for like the schedule, it does have Cable Reloaded. Oh, never mind. No, it is.
Yeah, we'll see. But Wiccan and Hulkling and Wakanda are both under the Last Annihilation.
I thought it was backwards.
Cable's not.
Because I was going to call it to Wakanda, Last Annihilation Wakanda, and his isn't.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm curious about it. So yeah. But everybody, that's all our books. This has been the longest episode we've had in a long time.
In a while.
So I'm going to wrap it up. So anything to add before we go?
No, that's it.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, you can check us out on Geek Elite Media at geekelitemedia.com, as well as at Geek Elite Media on Twitter. Also on Twitch. And you can join Josue on Twitch at...
Josue Plays Josue.
Josue Plays Josue, that makes sense. Yeah. Where he's been playing a lot of things. Metal Gear Solid, Dragon Ball Budokai, lots of stuff. And he Twitch streams pretty much every night. You can also follow him on Twitter at Josue Reads Josue. Yes. You can find me on Twitter at WHI Podcast Keith, Liz, our producer, at WHI Podcast Liz, and this show at WHI Podcast. Also, you can check out our other show, Jukebox Vertigo, at Jukebox Vertigo on Twitter, where we continuously build a playlist using a different randomized category every single other week. Our last one that just came out is 90s Hip Hop, featuring the return of a legend of the court,
yes.
First ballot Hall of Famer JV Picker, as I would say. One of our good friends, and I could not stop smiling the entire episode. Mm-hmm. So
as dreadful as he was, that was my favorite.
Oh my god, yeah, he's still T-Dog. Yeah. Oh, spoiler, it's T-Dog. So I was trying to be all mysterious. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We really, truly appreciate it. You can check all those things out and check out every other show on Geek Elite Media. And don't forget to always geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.